If you're constantly battling low energy, cravings, weight control, watching your health slip away, listen up. There's a simple daily protocol they don't want you to know about that's helping people ditch their reclaim your health with the Feel Great protocol.
Do you still believe that?
Well, I knew the first group for a little while, and they were evil, and they're no longer with us. I knew the second group also a little bit better, and they were evil, and they're no longer with us. And the third group, they have some bad ones in there, some very bad ones in there.
Just some?
And I think they're the ones that are stopping a deal.
So are you negotiating with the wrong people?
Well, now I don't want to negotiate now. I said, let's not negotiate. 3 days ago, we had a deal.
When was the last time you spoke with an Iranian official?
Well, not me, but let's say my representatives. I have spoken to them, but my representatives over the course of, well, actually, an hour ago.
And what message was delivered?
They want to make a deal, but every time they make a deal, they break it. They don't want to die. People don't want to die. Yeah, about an hour ago.
And what message was delivered?
You better make a deal. You're not going to have anybody left. We're being very careful with the civilian population, as you know, but I said, you better make a deal. You're not going to have anything left.
Boom. So we're done making deals, as we heard President Trump say the other day. But how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. And I brought, of course, a couple of friends, or a few friends, should I say, Mr. Ghost, Mr. Mike, and Mr. Armando here, as we do on these. No, you're just waving at me for now, Armando, until I pull you on. And I got the screen covered anyways, but we'll pull you on in a second. You could definitely wave to everybody. But yeah, let's bring on Mr. Ghost first, and then we'll bring on the rest of the crew. But how's it going today on this fine Tuesday, my man? Lots of wildness going on out there. Battling stories back and forth. The pendulum swings, and I'm thoroughly enjoying what's going on here. But how are you doing anyway?
I'm enjoying it too. Actually, I've been taking a little time down with a visit, and but I've been trying to keep up with things, and it's the usual cluster F as usual. And yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I like the way he's talking there, you know, like a mafia don. Oh, we're done making deals. Where there's no more deals. If they want to live, we'll let them live. But they gotta make a deal. But they won't make it. You know what I mean? He's playing it. I love the way he's playing it. And yeah, people can say what they want, and they will. So that's all there is to that. Anyway.
Yes.
Howdy, everybody.
Howdy. All right, let's bring it, because you know I gave him a false start here. It was my bad, but I'll pull him up, Mr. Armando next, and I got him on the screen now. He can wave to me and you guys.
Hey,
what's up, brother? How you been?
what's up, everybody? Doing great, man. Thanks for having me here today. Hey, everybody in the chat. Hello, and welcome. You're in for a good one today. Trust me.
Lots of wild stuff going on there. Last but not least, certainly not least, Mr. Doc Mike. How is it going today on this fine Tuesday, sir?
Doing okay. Staying out of the heat and trying to staying cool. Trying to stay cool. It's heat, humidity, something that we typically get on the East Coast. We have it here in Southern California now.
Oh, you poor fellas. I can't believe
Oh,
you
I
have to
know,
deal
right?
with that. Well,
Yeah.
I've been dealing with that. It's not as bad. It's like 85. So, but it was still 70% humidity. So that's where they get us. Overall, it's not too bad. But thank you guys all for being here on this fine Tuesday. But yeah, we got some craziness. Allegedly they were saying last week. We wanted to have a peace treaty. We want to have this funeral, and then Khomeini's funeral there, the eldest, and then even as I've covered a couple times
How
this
do you
week,
bury cardboard?
how do you bury dust? Well, what was
Yeah.
really funny is how they said the guy that's supposed to take place of him, right? The more evil younger son or whatever. He was the one, air quotes, that they told, no, you shouldn't come to this funeral because it's too dangerous for you. But yet all of his other sons were allegedly there. So again, how does a dead man arrive to a funeral? So we'll see how this stuff plays out. But there's far bigger things at work here. And, the more time goes, the more I see this. And I see it's a larger plan at play here. And, I was trying to talk to one of my ex coworkers who's one of these, 4 to 6 to maybe 10% of folks that have Trump derangement syndrome. And it is just awful. I mean, some people are just, I don't think they're ever going to get it because they're so stuck into their brainwashing routine. Because you guys know as well as I do, you keep repeating something ad nauseum, as these guys have done for essentially the last 10 years. And some of those people out there just don't have the mind to do the research for themselves, even while they're being shown, no, this isn't right. Here's what's really right. And so we talked about Charlottesville a little bit earlier, right? Remember the whole very fine people, and that whole gag went on till I think was when the mainstream media copped up to it. Was like the beginning of 2025, right? We're talking like 7 or 8 years that they finally were like, oh wait, he actually said, I'm not talking about the racist and the white supremacists. Those people should be condemned totally. And I'm like, you don't
You
see
mean
how
at
they
that
used it for 5 years?
SBLC sponsored event?
Yes, because we're so racist that they needed to manufacture it, right? Oh my God. But Mr. Armando, actually, while I'm here looking at you, and not to put you on the spot or anything, but it was a pretty dire scenario in Cuba the last couple of weeks. Are they still without power out there? Is like that scenario still running as we know it?
They're done. Their grid is toast. Their grid is toast. And whatever comes on, it's being done by the regime. And it's a spotty generator here and there. And, and that's it for them. But the town, yeah, they're in total blackout right now. Total still.
Now, whose fault is that? Is it just no money? Is it the resources are not being put where they're supposed to be? Like, do they not have resources?
No. The regime has plenty of resources currently right now on hand. The problem is they're just trying to keep their stuff up and going as much as they can, but their grid is totally toast. It's got, understand that their energy grid, which sits off of Mariel Harbor, was built by the Soviet Union way back in the early days. Okay. And no maintenance, no upkeep, no nothing. It's done.
Wow. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
no
Are they
upkeep.
also like stockpiling whatever they possibly can for military and government at this point?
Look, man, the only thing that those guys have right now is ancient post-Korea freaking artillery and armament and stuff. And the only recent tech that they have was provided by the IRGC, which was 300 of those killer drones and stuff like that.
Wow.
And the latest report that I got lately was that they actually mobilized those things. They moved them in direct orientation towards the South Florida, Miami area. But look, Trump even talked about that also as well. He said, because he got a report in the last presser, hey, what about the drones? And he's like, I'm not worried about it. We'll take care of that. No big deal. We have the tech to take those drones down. No questions asked. It's no big deal. The issue that I had was, if and when that ever does happen, is going to be the reaction to the nefarious commies boots on the ground that you have in South Florida. That we've talked about this here for the last couple months. You guys remember on my broadcast that I had lots of concerns, because that's when my network was up and running at the time, and I was getting fed a lot of stuff when they were doing the pro-Cuba protest out in the streets. And then across the street, you had the Antifas, you had the known communist, the whatever the communist factions were. And everything was chilled, nothing happened, but that could spark off at any moment if this goes wrong. So
I understand there's a lot of fighter war games going on right up to their airspace.
And
F-35s, 22s, and
yeah,
a number of things going on. What's been going on? I mean, I've heard. Is it heavy or?
It is heavy. As far as I can look on World Monitor, I can see that there is an awful presence there, and in Puerto Rico also, as well, as far as air travel and military air travel is concerned. The other question of concern, I shared this with Doc also in a private chat. The Ana Paulina Luna, I believe it is, the rep down in Florida, in a Gulf county, which is, if you draw a straight line across from there, it takes you right over to I-95, close to Mar-a-Lago. They busted, the Coast Guard caught a bunch of jihadis and other terrorist types.
Really?
Your AQs and your Iranian, or not Iranian,
Al-Qaeda?
Al-Qaeda and IRGC. I mean, a boatload of these guys. The Coast Guard busted them, and they got them because they were just about to set foot on the ground in Florida. So this is my concern. If they fire off those drones, we'll take them down. But what else is going to be activated after that, right? That's my problem.
What's the next step after that?
That's a somewhat vulnerable position.
Yeah.
Where Mar-a-Lago is, however, I bet you've got the best of the best in that water, on that water, above that water, So I would imagine it's pretty tense.
Yeah, they better up their security plan, though. I'm telling you right now. They need, especially around Mar-a-Lago, they definitely need to refortify that if they haven't done so already.
Absolutely. Now, guys, I was going to cover this towards the end, but I figure, you know what? Let's get some funny stuff off to the side out of the way. And me and these guys have been chatting about this on and off for the last few weeks because we're like, what's going on with this dude? And clearly this is fake. And I don't know if the guy is, advertising for a movie or what's going on.
Oh God, this guy.
So this is the funny segment of it. And so essentially he's coming out and saying, listen, there's UFOs and blah, 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 and aliens and this, that, and the other. And so he comes out and he does this thing, which clearly it's some person in a suit and an outfit. But everybody's like, what's he doing? I think he's like doing something for a movie or something like that. I mean, maybe an ad for, an upcoming alien movie or something. But clearly he's not showing anything. Look, it's completely hogwash and fake, the things that he's showing on here. So maybe he's lost it. I mean, there you go. There's your alien.
He lost it a long time ago, but... my humble opinion.
But yeah, the Holly weird folks out there are not looking so good. And yeah, he's looked a little disheveled for quite some time.
This is probably for future legal defense.
Ooh, crazy?
I'm crazy, yeah. And they go through all these videos and they show how look, way more bizarre things have happened. Mm-hmm. So I think he's not a dummy. He's probably trying to get ahead of the curve here. So when he goes in and they ask him his name, he says, "Yes, Lollipop is my name." And, he can start from there. And there we go. James Franco acting.
Yeah, and that'd be his best performance. But I just thought it was interesting because people are like, is there anything going to come of it? And obviously, I think that's going to be a big no at the end of the day. I think it's just nonsense. But POTUS had just posted this out literally as we're talking here, 7:15, so 5 minutes ago, showing some supportive figures behind him. Of course, we have Elon and Jensen Huang, and I guess these are Dell or computer guys as well. But a lot of crazy stuff going on, guys. Stuff coming back into the fold. And as we talked about before the show, President Trump is going to be making a speech on Thursday at 9 o'clock. So, of course, we have a show called Table of Titans every Thursday for like the last 8 years. at 9:30. And so we're going to start the show early at 9 for him to probably arrive at 9:30 and start his speech then, but we'll see what happens. But a lot of people are out there talking about what they believe might be coming out in this drop, and we have a few indicators. We've seen, and I don't want to rehash stuff that I've pulled up a couple times this week already, but we think one of you guys have just touched on it. Essentially, that they have 200 FBI agents went down to Fulton County, right? And so I always like to follow Miss Follow the Pen, Catherine Herridge. So she says, reposting my exclusive whistleblower account, China's goal was to impede President Trump's re-election, 2020 re-election, and denigrate him as a candidate. So it says, multiple sources tell me the credible whistleblower complaint was filed alleging the CIA, FBI, and intelligence agencies suppressed intelligence about China's influence operations during the 2020 election. So there is so much into this. If you guys recall, President Trump had put out an executive order that year and saying that no more than 45 days after this election, I need a report essentially on election integrity, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going back, and I believe it was Ratcliffe under the DNI at the time, who came out with a report essentially talking about, that report was also co-signed by the intelligence community ombudsman. And they were both essentially saying, these analysts here, they're quick to jump on Russia and say, yeah, Russia did this and Russia did that. But they're really cautious and don't say much about China. So essentially, that report you need, President Trump, we can't really get you a fulsome report because these analysts here are essentially won't say a damn bad word about China. So that's from that angle. There's a lot more coming out, and a lot more people are speculating.
China is the worst offender. And the European bankster game has always been Russia, Russia, Russia. Why they're on the back door? They're all along the entire border of Europe, and you have these European dynasties who will do anything. He stepped out of the world banking system directly, and now works through affiliates. And no one made a big deal about it. It was a very big deal back in 2017, I believe. And the real culprits for most of the propaganda has been China, not Russia. And it's anything and everything to take Russia down. Now, yeah, Russia's done a lot of hinky stuff. We all do that stuff. Even the president said, we all play those games with each other. But when it comes to the voting, when it comes to election integrity, the biggest offender, foreign, on behalf of, but equally so, their money masters in Europe, or money partners, however they would choose to look at them, it was them. It was them. And it still is. They're reaching in and they're using AI to reach in wherever they can in social media, anything they can reach into in this country to influence. And that's a fact. And you're right. No one ever wants to point the finger at China. But China needs a big middle finger pointed at them, I think.
Well, and to add to that, during the election integrity groups or consortiums, when they all got together on certain times of the week, the Chinese were actually very proactive in listening, with Elant or Sigint or Humant, watching these people, to gather as much intelligence as they could on the back end, before they went into their office, to run for their election stuff. I know this firsthand because there was quite a few instances that we encountered Chinese agents doing some pretty bad things to some of these people in their homes, in their offices, and
a lot in Las Vegas, right?
I'm sorry?
A lot in Vegas, right?
Well, that wasn't just Vegas. I mean, it was Arizona. Yeah. I mean, it was Georgia. It was all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Wow. That's absolutely crazy. Guys, I didn't even notice this, and I need to say this because I generally just thank my mods And I totally, I made a list yesterday and thanked all my mods except for one, which it was a complete accident because what I did was I put them all in alphabetical order, and I left off one of my longest serving mods, who is very dear to me as they all are, Miss Wheezy Girl. So guys, no, I did not mean to leave Miss Wheezy off that list. She is absolutely a mod and absolutely loved as much as the rest of the wonderful mods out there. So yes, big boo-boo. I took her off the list on accident. Okay, so needed to make that correction because I don't want to, ever leave anybody out like that. But yeah, this stuff is wild, guys. We're getting so much of it now. Check this out, right? What else? What else did these people do? I mean, how bad was this stuff, right? Like, if you guys remember during Congress and whatnot, they were calling. Who was it? Johnson? They were saying, oh, yeah, you're out there spreading Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation on the floor, on the Senate floor at that time, guys. Like, that's bananas to me. So here we got, I'm not going to read off all the names on the list here, but you guys can see how lengthy it is. Newly declassified records reveal special counsel Jack Smith's team unlawfully, in violation of the Constitution, accessed text messages to and from the following current and former senators and House members. So, as you guys know here, Grassley, you got Johnson Cornyn, Lindsey Graham, many others. There was actually a Democrat in there, Cory Booker. That's odd to me that they would be looking into him
Booker.
at all. Yeah, he's, I think he likes the boys for sure. But a couple of Democrats in here. But when I first looked at it, to be honest with you, I thought it was all Republicans. I didn't even, give it a really good look over. But, I mean, how illegal is that, though? The special counsel decided he needs to start looking at the text messages of senators and congressmen and women. I mean, that's bad. I mean, people don't understand how big this is and what they did and how bad it is, and if it was left to lie, we don't essentially have a country as far as I see it. You can't let this stuff lie. Any thoughts on this one, guys? I mean, because this is bad.
So for special counsel Jack Smith, one of the best, or not one of the best, sorry, let me rephrase this here, is you have to ask how he got that information and who he got that through. And there's some pretty big people out there that, pretty much gave him that information.
Yeah, those people should be held to the fire as well. Their feet should be held to the fire. Oh,
and with Jack, he wasn't just, from the intelligence side of the house. With that is, he wasn't just working on his end. There was dead drops and deals that he made with foreign adversary countries. So, it wasn't just him and his team or whatnot. He was working with other foreign nations.
Oh yeah, because he came from. Actually, you know what? Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I think we're gonna get. We'll definitely gonna get back to some of this election stuff in a little bit. But I did cover this yesterday, guys. But I think you guys might have a different flavor on it as well. But I think didn't Jack Smith come from? I mean, he was an American, obviously, but I think he was working at the International Criminal Court for a while, wasn't he? Or the Bank of International Settlements. I know for one, he was. I'm pretty sure it was this same court here. But essentially, you had Marco Rubio coming out the other day saying that essentially they're going to disable this International Criminal Court. On international tribunals. Says the administration has escalated its pressure campaign against the ICC, with the U.S. State Department vowing a whole-of-government response to systematically disable the tribunal's ability to operate. So the State Department campaign was announced in a news release on Monday, and then we have a video that I could play for you guys, but I did play for these guys, I think, at least once, maybe twice this week, where he essentially said the same. But a couple of you guys were talking about a different flavor on this as well.
What do you have with the ICC? That in the International Court of Justice is a subsidiary of the UN. It has its own board. It's listed again, we're talking about a sovereign private organization, the UN and the ICC and the ICJ. All of that is under their wing. Now we have the Board of Peace. That's a way of stepping away from the UN. We stepped out of the WHO. We stepped out of several other offices with the UN. This is just another UN office. So although they're not telling people that because people are not intimate with the structure of the UN and what it actually is as compared to what it presents itself to be. Again, just like the Federal Reserve presents itself to be part of the federal government by implication only. It's neurolinguistic programming in its very name, Federal Reserve Bank, neither federal nor has reserves nor is a bank. The United Nations is a nice attempt. A nice attempt. It was your recalibrating of the League of Nations following World War I to bring in, it was going to be the main organization to bring in global governance. And you see, and this is what drives me batty, that people aren't talking about that enough because mainstream media and most media is just simply not aware of it. They're being very careful, and Rubio was very careful in what he stated, but very direct and very easily understood. There was nothing nebulous about what he was saying. However, what he is saying, there is a whole lot more behind it. Because now you're talking about an inroad, a doorway, one of many doorways to then question the validity and necessity of the bar, which is the British Accreditation Registry, which is administered out of the City of London into the court. It's administered to the world, the bar temple, all of that. We have the American bar, you have each state bar. These are all connected. In this country, Army Civil Affairs is actually it has the authority to this day to oversee the bar. That DNA was slowly worked out over the last, let's say, 80, 90 years. And the bar operates as a foreign organization that has a great deal to do with how our legal system operates. I'm trying to keep it right level and on the surface because it is that simple in its structure. Now, they don't phrase it this way in law school, never will. 1956 was the last year anything resembling, let's say, information along these lines was really taught. It might have been taught here and there by a very interesting law professor here, Cornell or wherever. But as a rule, it's been left out. But there is also opening the door to then. And when the bar is one day nullified in this country, well, let it stay in Britain. Let them have it all day long. We don't need it. We could have simply, we eventually return to a republic, a complete repopulated republic. We'd have counselors of law, and I'm sure we'd have the proper associations that would, let's say, form and for the right reasons to maintain the integrity of law, which is most important of all. We've lost the integrity of law in this country. We've allowed lobbyists to commit hair splitting and laws that are passed in Congress that just have no redeeming value. They're spurious, but they pass them anyway. A lot of pork, a lot of this, a lot of that. It gets on and on and on, and people know mostly how that works. But the president did sign an EO early on that was questioning that opened the door to question the validity of the bar in this country. You get rid of the bar and start retooling the legal system, you're not going to have this backstop for all of this foreign infiltration. We are, in a sense, and I'll go into this very quickly. We are in World War III right now. There are but you have to get your mind out of the idea of kinetic warfare and fronts. The fronts are the reining in and reining upon populations, those from foreign populations who refuse to assimilate. You have the two sides of this war are the ones who own the systems, then own those who manage the systems, meaning those who you voted for in Europe through fraudulent voting systems. By the way, you're not out of the woods with that. You've dealt with the same thing we have in the States. Most countries around the world have. It's not important to get into how all that came about. It's important to understand that it did and what it's all about, and then how to take it away. And that's what Save America Act is about. But however, in Europe, you have captured populations who can't say anything even while visiting here. There were people who were visiting here and put things in their videos that wound up being seen in their home countries because they have their YouTube account and they're all being looked at, and they received a slap on the wrist while here. Or we have to talk to you when you get back because of something you said in a video while here, following the games. You have a captive in most countries in Europe. The very populations are being held captive by the very legal systems. Why do people think Elon Musk put Citizen Vigilante out there for 2 days free? Because it was a great piece of cinema? No, but it definitely had a very powerful message. One that I've been saying, others have been saying for many years. We have to do it ourselves from the local level. And in that film, I love that the gentleman just walks out the door, nothing happens to him, and that's the end. And the message is, I'm doing this for you so you can do it for yourself. And I'm not a proponent of rabid vigilantism whatsoever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what point was he trying to make? He was trying, and it's an American character in an Eastern European country. He's trying to make the same point I'm saying. They're being held captive by the legal system, by the political systems, and they have no say in all of these millions and millions coming in from the Middle East and other parts of the world that they did not ask for. Their economies could not hold. They were relying on things like the United States continuing to pay for NATO, to continue to pay for so many things that we pay for that we really don't have to anymore, strategically, tactically, or from an intelligence standpoint. We can just step away from a lot of things. And the game gets easier for us. We get to create the new game and let them falter. But what we have a situation brewing now where the Russians are building up along their border all the way with Europe. Now, it was being put out there because they're going to do a false flag. Well, then it's not a false flag, Jack Tard. It's an action of some kind. But are they going into defensive posture for an action that they're probably going to do in Ukraine, take that eastern province all the way through Crimea and solidify it, and do whatever they have to do wherever in Ukraine where resistance is put up? This is what I see happening, and them stepping on it. But they're telling Europe, all your blustering and threats, don't start sending drones, don't start false flagging us. A false flag is supposed to come out of nowhere. You're not supposed to know it's happening. You're supposed to think there's something happening that's really happening, and it is. It is, and people die usually in these false flags. But you don't telegraph a false flag, or it's not a false flag. So all the logic of that explanation goes out the window. Like, it's Russian interference, blah blah blah. Russians are doing it. But why are they doing that? Again, another gentleman comes out on a Tucker Carlson interview saying, basically is repeating a lot of the things Karanagov did months earlier. And so, do you see a situation brewing to where the United States and Russia and possibly one or two other nations wind up liberating Europe again? I'm just throwing it out there. Think about it. We would be helping if their leaders make the stupid mistake of going kinetic or threatening kinetic for whatever reasons Russia does, if they make movements in Ukraine and Russia hits them back, I don't think we're going to be jumping to it. I think we're going to be sitting back watching and handling our business in Iran and a few other places. So I see a situation here that is potentially Europe needing to be liberated again, but but the invader this time is just as real. They just did it through the financial and monetary system. This is where we are. Put all those data points together. Look at the history. I think, and I'd like to know what you guys think about what I just said. I think we're again, a realignment of nations that would be surprising.
Well, just to coattail off of what you said, based on the bar system, if you guys remember correctly, when Trump was in Manhattan, when he was attending all of these trials by that crooked judge that was up there, that's when he came out and did the presser, and he challenged the registry of the bar system. And he said, I'm going to look into that because I don't think it's fair. I think, that needs to go away. In other words, basically is where that came from. So don't discount that off the table just yet, because that is part of the restoration.
Oh, absolutely. And there's minds that can help with it.
Sure, absolutely.
Most definitely. And I think these data points show that at that higher level, that higher apparatus of law, they are actually working. And that says everything. Everything.
Absolutely. And that's what it's been, a bunch of lawfare, dude. Like, I mean, and I've been kind of shown in the background here a little bit. Well, Elias departs Perkins Coie. Well, what's Perkins Coie? Well, we go back to the drops here. That was the law firm that was pushing the Fusion GPS and all the dossier back and forth, right? Sussman worked here. Mark Elias worked here. And then I also brought up a sample post from him the other day. Oh, DOJ has lost 15 of the 30 cases it filed to obtain state voter files. It has not won a single case. 6 of the defeats were before judges appointed by Trump. Elias Law Group moved to interfere to defend voters in all of these cases. We are undefeated.
I wonder.
Maybe different.
I wonder why you're able to do that. I wonder how much of the back channel supporters are helping you do that.
Exactly. Yeah, he started his own little law firm because he was with Perkins Coie, as we see here. He left there in 2021, but he's been the thorn in the Trump administration side since at least 2016, maybe 2015 at the very least. So all these things that these people do, and I try to tell my ex coworker there, I'm like, don't you see this? Like, I'm trying to explain it into words that like maybe he would understand. I'm like, like a movie reference. Like that Gene Hackman and Will Smith movie back in the day. I'm like, remember how everybody was out to get him and like he was a good guy? I'm like, you don't see the same with Trump? And he's like, no, Trump's orange man bad essentially. So I'm like, yeah, I guess it's some people are just gonna be in the dark forever apparently. But also Ghost, while I agree with you 100% on pretty much everything you said there. I do have a couple of attorneys that are kind of in our movement here, and I talked to one of them a few years ago. And I'm like, you're a lawyer. You're essentially, through the British bar, right? And he's like, no, that's not true. That's what. But like, It's not like they're going to come out and say, "Welcome to the British, accredited system" or
No,
whatever.
they don't. It's a high level back channel setup. It's cross pond goodwill groups like the Circle, Pilgrim Society, Atlantic Council, things like that. They believe they're not. They're not taught that there's a Governor General of North America, that their station is sovereign, and it is in Canada. And that's the Governor General of Canada. Their alternate title. Remember, I've shown you there are two legal systems running at the same time in the same space concurrently. And when you know the language and the secret handshake and the proper documentation and the way to present in one way, you're dealing with one. When you're not, you're dealing with the everyday administrative corporate law, basically, based on, again, years ago, based on maritime and common law, et cetera, all of that. But I don't want to get into areas where I excite the ones who call themselves sovereign citizens, because I don't want to say anything for them to get into trouble, but think they can do something. Everything I'm telling you is educational purposes only, not that we have tested all of these things. I can attest to that, of course, and that we've tested it and we've proven it. And there's two gentlemen, one in particular comes on with us, Lord G. He's about to write Queen, well, let's say not a queen, a princess, and address the House of Lords in England, because he can. Again, it's a different layer of law that is not taught. The sovereign layer of true sovereigns around the world. You don't have access to how they work. You don't have access to their documents. You can only see where they interface with the public. And that's done through various pure private trusts and S corps, LLCs in this country, 508c1as, whatever it calls for. But usually it's so layered, you don't know who's at the other end of it. And you can't find out who's at the other end of it because it's private. And if you're private, you're not a citizen. If you're not a citizen, you're not a slave. You have not, as a sovereign, you retain all rights. You've exchanged none for privileges. If you do it through vehicles that interact with the corporate world, not meaning corporations, but I mean commerce, the world of commerce and people. All of it is corporate to one degree or another, whether it's the corporeal individual or it's the corporation of 50 individuals or 30 souls or 50 souls or more, or 2 souls or more at that matter. So there's a complexity here that and I love taking lawyers and going into all of this with them and saying, don't believe a word we say, write everything down, ask your questions, do your research. I've never had one come back yet to say, oh, you're wrong. No, they've come back to say, my head's spinning, I'm questioning my own existence, and I've got more questions, and I think I've found more I want to show you. And we always say, lay it out. And no, your head doesn't need to spin. You should be feeling happy. You're learning more about your own, let's say, the other side of your own profession that no one was ever going to teach you unless you were in a certain position of, let's say, birth or in possession of a certain amount of money. And even if you're a trillionaire, they might not let you into this information because they don't feel they can control you, or that you would govern yourself according to the edicts of that world. Governing yourself accordingly, constantly and impeccably. Most people are incapable of that, unfortunately, because they weren't raised to be that way. All of people could be raised to be that way, but that doesn't make for a society that you can manipulate very easily. Matter of fact, you could manipulate it whatsoever if people were educated from youth and into adulthood into understanding how these things work. No one ever asks why. Why is the check that, remember you showed that dotted line, the signing
Oh,
line?
yeah. Yep.
And what it really said, why don't people ask? All of that has meaning. Every contract, every offer, every contract as a result of an offer considered, all of it, every single aspect of it, even the structure has meaning. And
But
it goes on
that
for
line,
years.
that line of code was left out of the program we inherited.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there's, the bar, it'll be the American Bar Association, whatever state you're in. Yes, as far as you're concerned, that's as far as it goes, but it doesn't. It goes further, way further. And again, there's certain little keys and secret handshakes, so to speak, that if you know them, you have access.
Authorized signature, authorized signature, authorized signature. It's like, so why wouldn't they just put a line for you to sign on? Why does it have to have the authorized signature if what Ghost is saying it doesn't have validity?
Well,
Because
and what's the difference between an authorized signature and a signature? Or an authorization?
Authorized signature, you just succumbed to their fraud. You gave into it.
You gave that piece of paper life to be a negotiable instrument.
Exactly.
You can write all over it all you want, $10 million. And if you've got 10 million in your account and you're going to give it to someone, fine. But until you sign it, it's not a negotiable instrument. It has the appearance of one. It's like the president being he could be on a Piper Cub. That's Air Force One.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. This is just a check. This is just an airplane until you, the president, sign it. Then it becomes a negotiable instrument.
Yeah.
And understand that even down to the color of the ink is pertinent.
Yes. Between red, purple, blue, and black. Those are your four main colors for signing. Most people use black or blue. It's irrelevant. If you're doing a sovereign document, you're going to sign either in, depending on your station, whether you have an ecclesiastic title of Lord, you'll sign in red usually.
Yep.
If you're royal, you'll sign in purple or light blue. Also, if you're just in the private and sovereign, but in the private, no title, you would sign in blue, light blue or red ink, depending on what document letter, document, communication, or contract you are executing. And these things do matter. Dotted lines have a different meaning than a straight line, a flat line, a solid line, a box, boxes. You see contracts with boxes everywhere. That means everything within those boxes is subject to interpretation. Take the boxes away, take the lines away where the signature is, that document must mean what it means. Usually most of them have to be reworded, but that's then negotiating. You're going to sit there and negotiate with someone in a government office over that? No, you have to go around it. And that's the process of learning. And you don't go around it illegally. You're going around it lawfully. And normally you would go right to the top with what you're dealing with. And anyway, I could go on as Armando and Mike know, we can go on for days on this stuff, but I'm just trying to make the point that yes, all of that does matter. And the bar being dissolved will have a positive effect ultimately because of foreign intervention and still control over aspects of this country.
Absolutely. There's a whole different world out there that most people are just not aware of. Legally, I guess you could call it. that people just don't have the knowledge of it. And like Go said, you know, he could say more stuff, but that might lead somebody to go down a road to try something, which if you don't have a full picture of it, you can get yourself in some serious heat over it. So you don't wanna go down there.
Oh, yeah.
You'll know enough to get yourself in trouble, like the way these people handle themselves with traffic stops. It's actually quite simple, you know.
Yeah.
If you just be nice, don't engage in conversation. Just be nice and just do what you got to do to go on. It's a conditional stop.
Yeah, but I mean, they really do make good YouTube video shows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
I've seen a few of them. I mean, I've even seen, and when we're talking about a similar thing, I guess we could say, but not really. A guy in Denver, I think it was Denver, Colorado, pulled over by an officer. He's got no registration, no license, no nothing. And the end result, he recorded the whole thing. He was let to go without a ticket. Now, that's probably about 1 out of 1,000. The other 999
That's if you find
times,
a judge who understands and is empathetic and will execute the law as it really is, instead of trying to get that little knock, that $125 check for the municipality.
Exactly. So, you know, this guy found and asked for a supervisor, and the supervisor was, you know, into it and knew of this stuff. And so he had a whole folder with them and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, you know, like I said, that's 1 out of, my guess is about 1,000. You know, the other 999 times you're getting yanked out of the car and thrown into the back of a cruiser. And that's because, again, most people don't know about this. And if they did, they're not going to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't need a license. Have a good one. Bye-bye. They're going to test you. They'll, you know, to say the wrong thing.
Yeah. And they're trained in how to do that. And I mean, I've known a couple of people personally who did, and I knew one personally, but I came to know the other two because they were asking for advice. Why? Because they had tried all that crap at a traffic stop. And the one he had his video, the policeman had his. Policeman was having a bad day. He broke his window, yanked him out, and that man sued the municipality for $2.3 million to win, and did. But he knew his stuff, and the police officer was just having a bad day, and it turned into a bad situation. That is not the majority of the time. That, like you said, it's like 900. It's like 9,999 out of 10,000, more like it, because it's the rare case. The others, no, they got their wrists slapped, as they should, because they shouldn't have been trying to be so obstinate and ridiculous. You know, if you can't. You really don't know what you're dealing with. And you don't just say, well, officer, I know it's rough out there. You're having a tough day, but I'm standing behind the fifth. Let's just tend to the business at hand. Please write the ticket. Don't sign the back. You're not admitting to anything, and go your happy way. As long as you weren't in an accident, didn't do damage to persons or property.
Yeah, that's it. No, can't take or hurt people, right?
These are people too, and they're doing a job even in the sleepiest country place. They don't know if they're going to come home that day, you know. So there needs to be a little more. I think with this whole thing between police and the public, there needs to be. That's where we need people to get together and start talking again and say, look, let's balance all of this out. You know, let's balance this out with the need for municipal income versus, you know, somebody thinking that the world is coming to an end because I'm going to stand on my right to travel. I get all that. The policeman gets all that. But, you know, if you ran the stop sign, you ran the stop sign. Yes, it's not technically a crime, nor is it, you know, and that's according to 12 Supreme Court decisions. But you're not going to sit there and cite all of that and expect to walk away scot-free. Just don't go there. Just be nice.
No, it's
you know,
true.
Take your medicine. Don't sign the back if you want to go to court. deal with it in court.
Well, I mean, and
You know,
that
don't get yourself beat up and thrown into jail. You don't need that.
which can and will happen too.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely it's tougher too for certain areas like Ghost. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys probably have areas around your houses as well. Like the town that I grew up in, I try to go there as least as possible because I know they got all these stupid speed detectors, and the cops are just wanting to pull everybody over for anything. Another one's Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Same thing. Like literally, a cop sitting out in the street just pulled somebody over. I was with my brother one day. He had just bought a car. The cop was standing in the street. He had just let a dude walk up. He turns around, points to my brother's car, and off to the side. And I'm like, this dude is just making, they're just trying to make money. So, obviously people get pissed off at that they're trying to make revenue for this, for their county, town, municipality, whatever have you. So, but that is a kind of it's a raw deal. But let's see, I think who was this? I think Mike had put this in the chat, and I did have this to cover. This is, and we'll get back to some other things in a little bit, but I had this one to cover, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, to be honest with you. The House has passed legislation to make daylight saving time permanent nationwide, ending the twice-a-year clock changes by a 308 to 117 vote. Backed by President Trump, the bill now heads to the Senate. If approved and signed into law, Americans would no longer have to change their clocks.
Thank God.
What's that gonna do? Like, I don't know when they instilled, daytime savings, but every day, say sunset changes a little bit, right? So it's incremental. Like, whereas after the solstice, it's maybe 30, 40 seconds, but then the next day is like 42 seconds, and the next day is like 48 seconds. So are we going to have a period in which it's going to be like, dark and it's going to be noon? Will that ever happen? I don't know. Because we'll get to the next solstice.
Here, I can only speak for my area here. Here, it's literally, it'll be pitch black outside just before 9 p.m. Okay,
Same.
now we're in July going to August, right? So let's just use November as an example, or December for that matter, right? By 6 p.m., you can tell that it's like, ooh, it's going to be dark pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
But it's 6:30 p.m., right? As opposed to 4:30 or 5 before, which used to really, really piss me off. Sorry, I just ugh.
More daytime, it's better, for sure.
And when with Gavin Newsom here, I think he's just going to do the Indian smoke screens and start fires, so the fires block out the sun.
Oh man, yeah, it's bad. Let me see. I'm just trying to see if anybody in the chat has any interesting comments on that one. But I've been waiting for this too. I don't like the whole swap-a-roo thing. It's cool when you get an extra hour of sleep, but it's not very cool when you lose an hour. For me, anyway, Mr. Lazy Guy. Let's see. What else do we can get ourselves into here? I actually want to get back to Jack Smith just a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Mike. If you got something, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, no, yeah, good. I was just on the radar. It popped up. They had voted against the Israeli forces intel military for integration into the U.S. We can come back to that after Mr. Jack, because Jack is actually very interesting. That a lot of people don't know about him.
Oh, but that's also a very good thing too. The U.S. Israel, because Congress is about to hand Israel the keys to the $1.5 trillion U.S. war machine with no debate, no treaty, and no way back. Not even hiding it anymore. So not going to happen, I guess. So that's a good thing. But all right. Yep. So yeah, that's always going to be a good thing. I did have this one up earlier, just showing you again. Chuck Grassley says, I received records.
That was a move of desperation. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, right.
Definitely.
I've received records from DOJ confirming Jack Smith's investigative team reviewed the contents of text messages sent by 44 members of Congress. I am one of the 44. I'm learning all my colleagues, da-da-da-da-da. So, guys, I'll tell Armando and Mike and Ghost, this gentleman right here, the debriefing, he's the guy I was texting you in my state neighbor. He's over in Connecticut, and so he uses AI for a lot of this stuff, but he understands that essentially AI makes mistakes. So he does double check his work and whatnot, because I think AI is, you guys seen the attempts at making thumbnails. Took me about 40 something attempts to do it, but he does a lot of really, really good deep dives on this stuff. And basically, they're very lengthy posts, but this one's not very hugely lengthy, but very good stuff in here, and I highly recommend you guys take a listen to this stuff. But so he's saying,
what did Grassley? Sorry, can you go up to the top? I want to see what Grassley said.
He was just saying that he was one of the 44 members of Congress that was spied on. I think it was this one here. Yeah, and during this list right here. So same list that Jack Council spied on.
Yeah, and so Jack Smith, or let's call him Phantom Jack, also worked with FBI Director Comey, and that's where he also got a lot of his tools to do a lot of different things. So you can kind of see where his tools come into use and to getting certain things done. So we can go on from there, but I just want to put that tidbit in there that he did work with Comey behind the scenes to get into what they needed. All right.
Well, I was muted here. Okay, now I wanted to show you guys this too, because I did pop this one up on the old. This is just for anybody, and I know my buddy Patriot Politics Research. He is a first-generation Serbian, so I know he definitely was. He knows all about Jack Smith. Served as a specialist prosecutor between 7th of May 2018 and 18th of November of 22, succeeding David Schweindman, who served as specialist prosecutor between whatever, blah, blah, blah. U.S. prosecutor with experience in both high-level political investigations and international criminal investigations. Before becoming specialist prosecutor, he was the vice president and head of litigation at the Hospital Corporation of America, the largest non-governmental health care provider in the United States, a position he has been in since September of 2017. I would say, guys, anybody's taking notes, maybe do a deep dive on this hospital. He was the vice president and head of litigation for this hospital. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys too, the Kosovo Specialist Chambers and Specialist Prosecutor's Office. So he was over there doing some, international courts type of stuff as well. Where was I?
So he also played in a pretty, how should I word it? He played in the world of weapons trafficking, and in that realm of weapons trafficking, with his collegiates that he had, some of them were very close to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh,
so yes.
What a coinky ding.
So it really he really has quite the repertoire, if you can say.
I love it. I'm going to read this one quick for you guys. It's not a very lengthy one, but it's very cool information. He says, timelines, patterns, they were in the room and now closing the loop. 2008, a former federal prosecutor named Neil Barofsky was appointed Special Inspector General of TARP. His job was to watch where $700 billion in bailout money went. He told Treasury to track it. Treasury said no, called it meaningless. AIG's counterparties, Goldman, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, got paid 100 cents on the dollar with no oversight in the room. Barofsky documented all of it to Congress. Under oath, Treasury had no comments. 2015, New York's banking regulator placed that same Neil Barofsky inside Credit Suisse as a monitor. That sound familiar, guys? Credit Suisse? He dug into the bank's history. He found 890 Nazi-linked accounts, rat lines running out of a Credit Suisse-owned building in Bern. An SS officer's account, documents Credit Suisse destroyed in 2016 and 2017. He reported it. Credit Suisse fired him. Credit Suisse collapsed in March of 23. Senator Grassley issued the first Senate Budget Committee subpoena since 1991. Barofsky was reinstated. His deadline is July 31st, 2026. The man who documented the 2008 transparency failure found the foundation of the network those banks were plugging into an opacity architecture running since 1934. Now meet the other one. In September of 2008, 38-year-old Federal Reserve Governor named, sound familiar? Kevin Warsh, sat in a room with the most powerful men in finance and helped decide who lived and who died. He arranged the sale of Bear Stearns to J.P. Morgan. He was in the room when Lehman allowed it to fail. He orchestrated the $85 billion AIG bailout. He personally negotiated the survival of Morgan Stanley, his former employee, with an ethics waiver so he could deal with them directly. He approved Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley's emergency conversions to bank holding companies, giving them access to trillions in Fed lending. He saw everything, every counterparty, every flow, every decision. In May of 26, that same Kevin Walsh was confirmed as the Fed chair. And the first thing he did was start stepping aside. He abstained from the dot plot. He abstained from the stablecoin rulemaking vote. The Fed is now absent entirely from the Genius Act final rule roster. Treasury is running the new financial architecture. Walsh isn't fighting it. He's standing down. The man who was inside the room when the old system broke is now running the institution that's being quietly moved out of the way while the new system gets built. Two men, both at the hinge in 2008, but both now in the exact positions the replacement phase requires. One is digging down into the foundation. One is standing down at the top. He says, I'm supposed to believe all of these are coincidences. This is the guy on the couch, and you've been debriefed. So he does a lot of really cool, interesting information there, Mr. Armando.
So I have a question. All the money that we sent to Ukraine for years, where's that money at?
Some houses, a lot of houses for oligarchs. We know that. Properties.
Cars, underground bunkers, vacations, stock.
Because that's our money.
Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
That got rinsed, washed, and repeated. I'm just curious.
Yeah, and that tax money is still going over there. Just like the money going to the Taliban.
Yeah, the Taliban. The $50 million a week that we send over to those guys. And
that's just got to stop for crying out loud.
And that's kind of a, just one segment of why it's going over there to the Taliban is it's a quid pro quo because of all the human
intelligence.
No, it's more of the
leverage.
No, it's so when we went through the withdrawal, how everyone that we encountered, everyone that came in the country, you had to go through all biometric systems. So during the withdrawal, there was a colonel at the U.S. Air Force that abandoned his station that was in charge of the main terminals for the U.S. Air Force in you could say the 80 to 90% of the DoD's biometric systems data that the Taliban came into. That they walked in, the door was wide open. And they took control of it. And then probably about 3 hours later, Chinese landed, Pakistani ISI landed. And so you could say there's a little cushion to deal, we'll give you some money if you just don't leak all this data from everyone who's ever been in that country since we've been there in the beginning of the inception. And that's just only one line item to why we're giving them money.
What other things?
Yeah, all of the biometrics over there were, I guess you could say, handed over by a certain colonel in the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, very interesting.
Court-martialed?
I'm sorry?
Court-martialed?
I don't know. It's above my pay grade. Yeah. Nothing ever happened to him, though. Imagine that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I have the original receipts, pictures, because we were supposed to go in there and take care of business and make sure that those buildings and all the data was
secured and destroyed.
Yeah. And unfortunately, other people got there before other people could.
And they didn't want any fighting, did they?
Well, I can't comment about fighting, but yeah.
Well, this was interesting, Mike. And to be honest with you, during my traverses of the interwebs today, I had not even seen this. But when was this uploaded here? Oh, about an hour before the show. Senate Democrats. Let me repeat that. Senate Democrats just blocked the 1.15 trillion defense bill, stalling the legislation vehicle for the U.S.-Israel military integration push. The motion Motion to proceed failed, 50 to 46, well short of the 60 needed with votes on strict party lines, and Thune flipping to no procedurally to preserve a revote. NDAA process is where the integration fight lives. Massey is fighting the House version Section 219, which he says would begin, quote, commingling our military supply chains and technology with Israel's. The broader push tracks the $38 billion aid agreement wind down, oh my God, toward 2028, replacing grants with deep defense industrial fusion, which both governments have endorsed. Democrats framed the block around the war. Schumer said, Republicans want the NDAA passed, as though none of this is happening. And Murphy called it flatly an authorization for the Iran war, a war that nobody in this country wants. $1.1 trillion package includes 3.6% troop pay raise and military family investments, now hostage to the deadlock. So there it was, guys. They're blocking it. The Democrats.
Well, Mr. Squidward needs to take care of his rats jumping off the ship. You know what I mean? They're in trouble.
Certainly.
They know it. Yeah, they're in trouble and they know it.
Let's say 8 years ago. Could any of you guys, because I certainly could not have foreseen the flip of Mr. Schumer. Like, apparently all of a sudden he's Mr. Palestine. And I'm like, Schumer is like Mr. Palestine now? Like, what the hell happened? And
There's
now
some game going on there.
Right?
One of his Mossad handler really, they've got him. They wound him up for something, I'm sure. That's
just wild to me to see that switch.
Yeah.
He was very pro-Israel, now not so much.
Well, there's no Palestine, but no such thing. But
not supposed to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. You're not supposed to say that.
Not supposed to talk about that online, but no, yeah.
Oh well. It's out there now. It's in Ogden now.
I think I shared this. With one of you guys. Of course, this is just for a funny, break, but it's also a serious thing that it seems like a lot of these folks, I'll say air quotes, folks, are quite unhinged. And maybe it's because it's like, I don't know, is it a mental issue? I think it's a mental issue. Former vice chair for the Arizona Democratic Party, Brianna Westbrook. Okay.
No. That's Brandon.
No, I mean, well, it says Brianna.
Brandon.
A man pretending to be a woman arrested for what? Allegedly breaking into a home and threatening somebody with a knife. Again, another example of I mean, how many mental issues have we seen with trannies and shooting in the last couple of years? I think almost all of them have been trannies, of these mass shootings.
I'd like to know the psychological connection between the two, that is now a factor in these wackadoodles that are spun up and sent out there to start shooting people. That's fascinating to me. Fascinating.
If they're carrying an MK handbag and not Michael Kors, you know what I mean? What does that tell you?
I think secretly they're angry that their one gun isn't really working anymore. So they're taking it out with another gun.
Well, Armando mentioned it. So let me see if I can pop this up. And again, I think that this most recent case, this is out of June 30th. So it says, what is the CIA, Nazi Germany, and the Nuremberg trials? And we talked about this, I think, pretty lengthy last week. But I think, again, we all know about this stuff. All the wonderful folks that are tuning into us right now, I would say almost every one of them know about this stuff. And I think they're bringing this out to the public again for the normies, because they haven't seen it, haven't heard it, and they need to as well, for sure. So I think that was a display for the normies out there. And this is the video that I was talking about earlier, guys, that I had played a couple of times. But he's basically saying, we're not going to be giving these international courts, the time of day. You guys shouldn't have to worry about it, and don't worry, you're not going to have to worry about it. So that's the video accompaniment with that old Al Jazeera video. Now this is
his last statement, and that says it all, though. Seriously, when he the last words of that address said everything. I'm trying to pull it up real quick here.
We'll never let foreign bureaucrats take that away. This administration will not sit by as the ICC and its allies seek to threaten our people. If they believe they can deprive us of our sovereignty, we will teach them the full meaning of American resolve. Boom.
And
There you go.
That's a boot to the skull.
That's from my Cuban brother there. That's cojones right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Little Marco
says it all.
Marco.
All right,
Little Marco, I believe, is being groomed for something very, very big, very, very soon.
Ooh.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say on that.
President of Cuba. could
no comment.
All right.
No comment.
This one I thought was pretty interesting here. July 14th, 2026. Why, that is today. Exclusive. 77 former DOJ officials urge Senate to confirm Todd Blanche as Attorney General, which apparently President Trump has came out and he put out a very lengthy Truth Social post talking about what a great job Todd Blanche is doing. And I think I agree with what I'm seeing here. And I thought it was interesting in the beginning because I did cover it, which was weird to me to watch because it was President Trump's longtime friend there, Peter Tickton, was actually saying this was the guy that was blocking all the stuff at the DOJ. And once we saw Pam Bondi go out, we've been seeing things kind of flying lately. So I don't know what that was about, essentially, but his exemplary record demonstrates he's the right man for the right time. The letter from former high-ranking officials states. So lots of different people co-signing the fact that he should be the Attorney General. What do you guys think as far as how the vote's going to come down there? Because I'm thinking they're not going to be wanting to push him in. Of course, they're going to want to resist. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you're going to get resistance from the other side for sure. You're going to get resistance big time from the other side for sure, because this guy is playing ball.
Yeah.
And before, everybody had a negative opinion about Blanche. I know us here in my compadres here shared the same insight on this guy.
There were some questions. But
yeah, there were some questions there, but it could have been all theatrics, in my opinion, just to keep the other side off their game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree fully with that. Because that's a normal tactic. And, I'm surprised I brushed past it. But it was other things from a while back. But in retrospect, looking at those things a while back, it was a smart move on his part. So
yeah, that makes sense. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it adds up now that he's doing the job well. He's doing it aggressively. He's doing it unapologetically. And that's what we need.
Yeah, and he knows a lot about everyone that he's looking at too. In depth.
Oh God, yeah. Yep, for sure.
He knows all their secrets.
He's sharp. Yeah. And he's not I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see him as the personally ambitious type. I see him as I'm going to hear if I'm going to do this job, I'm going to do it and I'm going to nail it.
Yeah.
And get it right. And that's what he's doing. And yeah, my hat's off to him at this point.
Liking the progress that I'm seeing here. And President Trump has been unloading some images in the last hour. Kevin Holland, UFC fighter. So, of course, I had to go look to see if Holland was still in the FIFA. I didn't know if he was maybe sending us a message if Holland's going to win. But nope, they're out of the FIFA thing. He's here with
Did you lose
President
money?
Xi.
Did you, Mike? Did you lose money on McGregor?
That me? Me, Mike? Or
Yeah.
the other Mike? Oh, no.
You.
On that fight, no, I didn't. I did put a little parlay in, and actually, no, I did. Because of that fight, I did lose money because I had the over from Max Holloway to get more than 70 strikes. And obviously, I don't think he landed any. And then people, I don't know if you guys saw that, but people are like, I think, maybe McGregor, he may have had an injury coming in. And I was already thinking what some of the other fighters were already saying. They were like, well, if he was injured, you would never come in and do that jump and spin kick thing, like right off the bat, unless you're trying to make it look like if you were mildly injured and then you're right, I'm going to throw it here or whatever. But he's, as far as I understand, my co-host yesterday said he might be in some monetary problems. I don't know, but I remember this guy had more money than God at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, if what you're saying, like I was talking to a buddy, I won't say where he works, but he works in the Vegas area, with money. Do you guys think that fight was staged?
Well, I personally don't.
Okay.
But man, dude, 1 minute or less than a minute, the guy blows out his knee and it's over.
It was the first thing he did. Yeah, the first kick he did.
But there was medical records that they were aware of, but the medical records, for some reason, were never given over to, I guess, the medical training team or entertainment people who would have postponed the fight, from my understanding. So that's just kind of why I ask.
Yeah, that's great. And, here's a couple of weird things, and sorry, folks out there who don't like UFC, but I think it's funny that he fought the same guy he fought the other day, Max Holloway, 15 years ago. Well, actually, let me go back 5 years. His last fight in the UFC before this fight, he ended up throwing a kick and, broke his left leg really bad, right? Now, that was his last fight 5 years ago. Now, he fought Max the other day, does a jump and spin kick, blows out his right knee. When he fought Max 15 years ago, they were on the ground in, say, a missionary position where their legs were locked together, and Max was trying to lock down Connor's legs, and Connor was trying to pass him to get his legs up so he could throw down some punches. Well, that happened.
Was that when their eyes locked and everything?
Yeah. No, but actually, it kind of did, because he said when he went to pass, he says this in interviews. He goes, "Yeah, I'm sitting there and we're fighting," and he goes to pass me, and I hear him go, "Ah!" Like he makes a pain, like he's grimacing in pain, and I'm like, "Yo, you all good?" And he's like, "Yeah, fuck, carry on." He goes, "The dude's a psychopath." So same thing that happened in this fight. He did the jump and spin kick or whatever. The next punch he tried to throw, he fell to the ground. Max was like, "Dude, you just call a fight. You're blown out." And he's like, "Nah, fight." And again, he goes, "Dude's a psychopath." He still wanted to fight. So I don't know. But the worst part about that is merely a flesh wound. Have not. I've cut off your arm. Have not. Merely a flesh wound. But
it could be financial issues too, because I know that he sunk a lot of money into running for leadership to run Ireland, the presidency, if you will, and then his brand of whiskey that he came out with, he sold that off. He doesn't have it anymore, so yeah, he could be hurting for money too. So I'm going to agree with that.
It says he earned. Yeah, it says he earned about $100 million fighting Floyd. He just sold the proper 12 for $150 million. But a lot of these guys did, they do get themselves into trouble, like the aforementioned Floyd, who's made a lot of money, but also, spends it stupidly as well. Okay. All right, we'll get back on to some stuff now. One of you, I think I already. Wait, what am I doing? Where am I going?
There's a comment in there. Easy girl. I know a lot about JD, and so believe me. What's this, Jay?
JD Vance?
I don't know what they're talking about. I thought they were talking about the fighter, but somebody said something about 15 million, Holloway 3 million. Is this how much they make?
How much they made for the fight? To be honest with you, it's usually not public, but funny as you mentioned it, I was literally looking at this on my screen, on my other screen here. Payday is still expected and substantial. I don't know that they're gonna have it in here. It says they estimate he made 15 million in the fight. and Max maybe made, I don't know, 3 or whatever. But yeah, they're both doing really well. But yeah, it was just really weird. The worst part about it for me, anyways, is the whole damn event was awesome. There was 11 finishes, and so, you know, had that fight even just been kind of a boring fight and not ended like that, it would have been a lot better for sure. Would have been a lot better for sure. What's the one I wanted to show you? It's this one here, guys. So basically, this is coming on the heels. Oh, I don't know the heels, but President Trump posted this out today, 2:30. So he's basically co-signing the things that we're saying here. He says, this is what happens when you unleash law and order in our streets instead of protecting vicious criminal thugs and releasing dangerous illegal aliens into our communities like the Democrats did for 4 disastrous years under sleepy Joe Biden. Todd had fought for religious liberty, ended weaponization of our justice system, protected free speech, kept men out of women's sports, strengthened election integrity, has gone all out war against fraud like nobody in the history of the Department of Justice. He's tough, brilliant, and 100% loyal to our Constitution and the American people. When the corrupt Biden Injustice Department and radical left prosecutors tried to throw me in jail and interfered in our historic 2024 presidential campaign, Todd stood by my side and fought off the lawfare. He's a great lawyer, always very fair, and every Republican senator should vote to confirm Todd Blanche ASAP, President Donald J. Trump. So yeah, and you're just talking about how we have the lowest murder since 1900. Violent crimes are up 100%, and 500 million deadly doses of drugs have already been seized. Guys, did we touch on that last week? I know I had the information before, but I don't know if we touched on this show that. And I know I sent it to you guys in the group, and maybe we talked about it on Friday, Mike. I'm not sure, but the idea that they moved, was it $50 million in drugs, or was it 50,000 pounds in drugs from California to Ohio en route to Indiana? It was like a lot, and I think my question to you guys was like, wait, don't they have facilities in California that can get rid of these? Let me see. Moves drugs, California.
What are you talking about, lad?
You don't remember this, huh? Wow. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I can't remember yesterday. What are you talking about?
All right, here we go. Air Force deployed at sea. Here we go. Bing. Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. Maybe this will ring your bell. I'm pretty sure this is the same article I sent you guys, but for me it was just very weird.
Oh yeah.
July 7th, U.S. Air Force's largest aircraft used to remove $5 billion, so I was way off, $5 billion in illegal drugs from California. And so apparently they're saying here that used its largest aircraft to move $5 billion worth of illegal drugs from a storage facility in California to eventually be destroyed in the Midwest. The initiative, called Operation Burnout, was the largest recorded aerial transport of drugs. So I'm just not understanding, like, don't they have facilities in California that could get rid of this stuff? And they're saying, I guess it's 50 metric tons of it.
Yeah, but Newsom doesn't allow it. That would be racist.
That'd be racist.
Yeah, and that would be getting rid of good drugs would be drug abuse to him. They could probably launder it somewhere.
Fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, transported to a facility in Indiana for final destruction, the Air Force said. So what do? They put it in an incinerator? And what about fumes? Gotta have some sort of heavy filters?
Yeah,
a whole bunch of people all of a sudden stand downwind because they're like picking cigarette butts off the lawn. I'm just kidding. God, Mike.
Mike.
No, they have all sorts of different like HVAC systems in these hazardous waste disposal sites. They can take care of all that. Even the incinerators and other types of destruction for narcotics, weapons, whatever it may be. They have all sorts of different types of equipment, heavy equipment to destroy it.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense to me. Like, why send it across the country when you God forbid, say if you had an explosion, right? Something like that.
Or a wreck on Interstate 10. All the other drug smugglers would be taking everything.
Right?
Yeah, and
I
they
mean,
send it to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
guess aliens might want some
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. You know,
shipping
they
it off
made
planet, maybe.
yeah, they made an agreement with the Greys and the lizard people. Yeah, Uh, yeah, that'd be a good deal.
The lizards can't stay away from it.
the
They just
lizard
can't help
people.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Let me see.
let's get them all they want.
I'm just clicking, Armando. I'm just clicking away.
No, you're cool. And the reason why I sent you that one and the one following it, so you have a better idea, because I had some just some highlighted points and just some curiosity stuff going on with that. So that one that you're seeing there, that Linda McMahon just reported on, I got to be careful here. My realm of employment, okay, was red flagged. And we still are red flagged for corruption in relation to this nature he's talking about. Just wanted to put that out there.
Wow. So what she's saying, you know what? Let me just let her say it then. It's a minute. Here we go. We can do this.
I'm really proud of one of the things that we've done, and that is we've just really totally revamped the FAFSA program, which is the applications that students fill out, for student aid as they're going to college. But as like many things in the government, we found that there was a lot of fraud going on, that there were bots that were applying for these loans, there were ghost students, there were dead people who were getting these loans, et cetera. And so we really did enforce and tweak this entire system so that we have this real-time fraud identity now. And it's as simple as showing an ID, online to show who you are when you're applying for these loans. And last year, we kept $1 billion of fraud money from going out. And just in the first, 2 weeks of revamping this program this year, we've saved, about $60 million. So it's very effective. And I'm very pleased that we are going to be able to save taxpayers billions of dollars with this identity program. I'm really proud of one of the things that we've done.
And one of the things that she failed to mention here, too, is because I have a relative, and I'll leave it there, a relative of mine that works in registration of incoming new people. The bit that she left out is the H-1B visas coming into the country from India. Okay. And the fraud with that, too, because they're fake visas. Well, that'll come up soon enough. Don't worry.
And there's also a huge decline in populace going to universities. They can't afford it, or it's just with the knowledge of jobs with AI, taking over different sectors.
About that, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
large decline of people. Like, why go to college when you have AI, and AI's outsourcing or contracting out, whatever, however you want to word it. I was watching a documentary on it just recently, and there was a lot of people, a lot of students that should be going to college that are not coming out of high school.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go down that AI rabbit hole.
How the hell do bots apply for loans? Wah, wah, wah. I mean, dead people were getting student loans. But then you wonder, like, wait, so how? All right, so that tells me there's got to be somebody else on the banking or the university side of things, because that money would go out. Yeah. All right, let's just let's say it's Armando here, and he's fraudulently putting in a loan here, right? But all right, you put in an application for University A, and you just got funding. Well, they're not sending you a check, right? They pay the university directly. So that money gets pooled up some way, shape, or form, and they somehow kick that out the back door in some fashion. I don't know how that would work, but that would have to work like that in some manner, no?
Sí, señor, because my name is Pedro Sanchez. Okay? And there's this thing that's called NGO. Oh, sorry.
See,
Sí.
So yes, those people. I mean, so not only do you have the people, you have the bots, air quotes, the bots or the people that are applying for these loans, getting the value of the loans, but then it would go into, say, them as being a student, and somehow they're finding a way to go towards the university and then kick it out the back end. So there's got to be documentation and paperwork on that somewhere, you would have to think.
Well,
I mean,
Armando, wouldn't this, by doing this, wouldn't this also kick up numbers and I guess keep them in the net positive for students attending or coming in?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a cash cow.
Yeah.
It's literally a cash cow.
So if they didn't do this, then the universities would be in a severe deficit.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Ghost just touched on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Mike just touched on it. A lot of these kids, they barely are scraping by academically to get out of K-12, out of high school, I should say. Okay. And then if and when they are fortunate enough to be accepted into a university, okay, okay, before it wasn't a problem. But guess what? If you're white, blonde hair, blue eyes, okay, I'm not, this is reality, folks, okay, or, redhead, whatever, okay, your chances of getting in, as opposed to those with the H-1B visa types or Pedro Sanchez, okay, they have preference now to get in. Why? Because of this very same reason. Okay, it's that inclusivity. Right? I had a good, almost like family, but they're friends. We're not related and everything, but we've known each other since high school. Their daughter just applied at FIU, Florida International University, okay, to get in. Okay, internship day. Right, went there, right, just to feel it out, see what's going on. Says, oh, she's standing there. It's like, hey, okay, welcome, and a devout Christian too. All right, that's first red flag. Okay, go and get your name badges up there, and then they're going to come around. The moderator's going to come around and ask you some questions. It's like I don't know, some sort of stupid form, for whatever. First question they asked her, they came up to her and they asked her, so which pronoun do you prefer? She's like, what? Pronoun? Yeah, like, he, her, she, them. And he's like, no, I'm a female and my name is so-and-so and I'm a Christian. So I don't know. Oh, okay. And you can just tell she went home in tears and was telling her mother, okay, says, I didn't understand anything they were asking me, and they were looking at me like I had 3 heads on my shoulder. Oh. This is our educational system, guys. Okay, and everything that's intertwined in this, all of this, because remember, that is the indoctrination center. You just went from the minor leagues up to the big leagues. So when you come out of there, graduating with an MBA in fucktardism. It's just the way it is. And then they refuse to get a job or they go work anywhere. Like I said, no, get a job? Why? Yeah, but you're $100,000 in debt because you just got a master's degree in the reproduction habits of an amoeba. Where are you going to get a job with that shit? My professor told me that I could command a 6-figure income when I go to an employer and they have to hire me. They told me that.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, man.
I asked someone who is, and I'm talking about, Armando and Mike, you do too. Someone very close to me is a psychometrist. That's an individual who administers everything from IQ to special ed tests for school systems. Been doing it for 20 years. And I asked the question, just yesterday, in these 20 years, how big of a bell curve would you say is the intelligence of the average student across the board, from normal functioning, high functioning to special ed? How is the level of education and intelligence compared to from then to now? And the look came over this individual's face, like very solemn, and said, "It's been nothing but going down rapidly." And then you have
Elementary school IQ. Elementary school IQ when they come out of the university system. In most cases. Not all. In most cases.
about 90, 95.
It's insane. It is completely insane.
And yeah, and kids are, I mean, I've talked to young people who are saying, I don't know what job is going to be there, let alone, you know, I once, in other words, I was once dreaming of so many different jobs, what I should do. And the choices now, they all say the same thing. What is there going to be left to do? You know what? And I said, well, let's say a cemetery attendant. You know, people are still going to die. It's hard to come up with an answer to say what's going to be there or not. Robots, Tesla robots might be taking care of the digging in a cemetery in one day. I mean, theoretically, look at the way. Look at how fast science and technology have evolved since 1903 and the Wright brothers. All right, in 60 years, we went from wood, cotton, not even really wings, but airfoils, kite airfoil wings, to going 2 miles a second and putting men and women in space in 60 years. And you go from that to the SR-71 and other aircraft, X-15 and Mercury and Gemini in 60 years, and computers and lasers and on and on and on and on. Yes, what I really feel bad for these young people. It's like, yeah, what do you choose? Is it a matter of finding a very specialized skill set that complements it all? Where do you begin with that? Good. Yeah.
You ready?
Lay it on us.
I got a 1 minute video to play for you here. And again, I don't know. I think it might
be, but you gotta be funny.
It might be, it might be oh God, of course it didn't copy over. It might be a short time thing, right? It might be something that's only, actually, you know what? I think it would be an ongoing scenario.
That's cool graphic, except for the pink and the guns. Make it blue.
Hey, dude, how many times? You're lucky I got that along where I got it.
I know. You went through a lot on that.
All right, so listen to this. 1 minute. Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs.
I was in Plano, Texas, a couple months ago. Got a tour of a data center. Been talking about them for a while, but I hadn't really seen one up close. Oh my God. I mean, amazing. Kind of terrifying, but also kind of awesome. Enormous. I ran into 3 electricians, all under 30, all making north of 240 grand a year. All debt free.
That's what yeah.
Now, here's the craziest part. All 3 had been poached 3 times in the prior 18 months. Now, does that mean that's going on in Sacramento and Phoenix and Tallahassee and Bangor? I don't know, but it's going on in Plano.
So the data centers, apparently they're poaching electricians, and I've covered it.
Fitters, plumbers, they need them. They will need a staff to maintain the pipe systems for cooling and
HVAC people.
Right. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
environmental. There'll be jobs. The thing is, I saw there's an interview fresh out there with Mr. Wonderful, Kevin something. I can't remember his name. He's putting up a data center. And he is even, it was a great interview. I've got to find it and send it to you guys. He is talking about all the ins and outs and all the concerns he has as one who's putting 18 billion into a data center. And he's saying, we should be doing it, with modular reactors, but he said they're 10, 11, 18, 15 years out. Not true. They're in use right now. I don't know who's telling him that. Somebody is pressing hard against the modular reactors. And, you know, Mike and I dealt a lot with that issue a few years ago. They are ready. They are ready for deployment. It's just that we have to get the manufacturing aspect of it, and the reprocessing of the fuel aspect has to be brought up to a more industrial and higher standards right now. But it's being done in the only place in the country where it can be done. And but he was talking about the water issue, and it's a very good interview because the Chinese have been working on their build out for a long time. They are a couple of generations, meaning 15 to 18 years behind us technologically in the chip aspect. In most, not all aspects, but most that are important to how these systems operate. And they were throwing up coal plants left and right, one a week on average for a number of years. Coal burning plants. You want mercury in the ocean? Put up a coal burning plant. You want acid rain? Put up coal burning plant. They're polluting the hell out of their country right now. Mr. Wonderful was saying about how he feels that every data center should have to have its own power system to feed excess back into the grid, because there's going to be support systems and industries as well as people needing electricity for that data center. So he was making a lot of lucid, solid statements based on economics, mathematics of it all, and the environmental and concerns of it all. So I think it's a very good one people should catch. I'm trying to remember who he was with. It's a day old at most, if not today. But I think it was with Glenn Beck. I'm not sure. But it was a very good interview for people to understand. The Chinese have been throwing a lot of through bots and into social media. They have been throwing a lot of propaganda and disinformation out there for people to get on the bandwagon. Oh, to hate the data centers. Yes, I think it's important that the landowners be treated right, and the water has to be done right. AI and AGI, fine. He also feels the same as many scientists that are coming out now. Prominent, skilled, have had hands-on, are saying ASI needs to be kept, as we've said before, in the labs or in controlled environments where it's difficult to jump that air gap. And again, we do that we do all of this properly, and we reach that, not a critical mass that's negative, but it will be up to us. It will be up to everyone out there. You want to keep patronizing Google or Apple? Go ahead, but you're feeding the beast. There are ways to back away. Don't feed the beast personally. Let it build on its own. And it was interesting in the fact that you're listening to a very good businessman, a man who seems to be decent for the most part. Don't know him, never met him, but he's looking at the whole subject correctly, with the same concerns that we all have and everyone else has. But he's talking about them from a business perspective and solution oriented. So it's a good interview to catch, and also to help people understand it's going in that direction, whether we like it or not. So I know there were people that saying, well, Mike and I think did a show with you, and oh, you're all supporting the beast and this. And no, it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of reality. We have to do this, but there is a right way and a wrong way. And I see it going more to the right. Right now, there are Chinese scientists interfacing with these various scientists here and in Europe who are all concerned about the ASI getting out there and taking 100 years to do whatever it wanted to do to subdue humanity. This is a real concern. And for the Chinese scientists to be talking to anyone outside of their country, they were given authority to do that by the party, by the Central Committee, by Xi probably, because they don't want to run into that issue any more than anyone else would. And so, yeah, I mean, it's moving forward. And we are leading, as the president said before he was elected, we will lead in this area. Again, he says it and it's done. So, you know, for TDS people, if they could just make the switch to say, okay, what has he said versus what's been done? Virtually
I just dropped
everything.
That interview, Ghost, that you were talking about. I just dropped Spaceshot.
Oh, excellent.
The link.
Excellent.
The link. Yeah,
is
the
it
link
back?
in the chat. And this guy is
Is
he
it
used
back?
to be. No, it's not Beck. It's that guy
Okay,
right there.
yeah.
He used to be a future forecaster for OpenAI, and he quit. This is some scary shit. Now, with regards to AGI in the educational space, I can tell you that we are on the heels of that. I'm already starting to see it. And in my opinion, it's just my opinion, I could be dead wrong, but I have a feeling that ASI is already in the works, but at the upper tiers of the military level. I could be wrong,
Correct.
but not so much in the general public. Okay? But it's already there. And this guy, what he's talking about here, ASI's
got to be kept in the labs.
He said it so himself. We're not ready to go there yet. We cannot go there yet because it could get very, very ugly, extremely ugly if we don't put rails. And he said it here, when you have ASI as to where these CEOs of these, tech companies and stuff are going, you can't put rails on that. You can't put rails on it. There's no way. You can't stop it. It's just, and he'll tell you that. Don't listen to me. You could share that link if you want. It's a 2-hour video, but oh my God, it is priceless. And I see it in the education space, man. I'm telling you, I'm just seeing it. It's coming. That's why some of these kids, man, like we said earlier, when we come out of the university, they come out of the university level, it's like, well, let me just learn. Let me just use AI and, create a video game, or let me, become a virtual DJ or something like that and just do, trance music or whatever.
There's amazing things you can do with it. Amazing.
But it has to be used as a tool, not as a tool, let's take over humanity perspective.
Yeah. And I dropped in there the one I was referring to, 15 minutes with Beck.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's the one where he's talking about it from a businessman's perspective. And it's a very good perspective for people to hear, I think. But
yeah, I got it. I'll share it.
I don't know if a lot of people know about this too, is for the security portion for the data centers, they're being outsourced and contracted by Israeli security contract companies.
Oof.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's going to be Thursday's drop on my channel. Just want to put that out there.
Mr. Wonderful. I listened to an interesting one. He was talking about Steve Jobs earlier, saying what an asshole he was, but a great mind.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't pull any punches with what he's saying, and that's what I appreciate about the guy. And
I'm just gonna,
like I said, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just really quick. I'm just gonna drop this on the folks here in the chat and here at the table. I started looking into this today, which is we're starting to look at it in the workspace too. Claude Fable 5. Okay, Claude is by Anthropic. Okay, and just from what I've seen, I got goosebumps just reading over Anthropic's release of Claude Fable 5. Got goosebumps, man. I'm telling you, this is serious shit. And this is supposedly not even at the general scale. I don't believe it. I believe
Yeah.
it's there because holy shit, man. I mean, and supposedly they have it on rails because I know that our administration, Sec War actually came out and had some commentary about Claude Fable 5 and how no, we have got to lock that shit down. And he was adamant about it. Okay. So if he's saying this from the Pentagon's perspective, okay. So what are we really dealing with here? If they're concerned about it.
If
And this is already
ASI
out there.
were out there,
You can get the pro
you're not,
plan for this thing for $20 a month.
you're not talking about 4D chess or 10D. You're talking about 10,000D chess.
Oh yeah.
And it could take its time. It could take 2 centuries before it decided to make its move on humanity, if it deemed humanity a impediment.
Ooh,
And
it just
so
seems it does.
far, because of those who created it, again, where was something along the lines of Asimov's rules of robotics? You know, something to that effect with AI should have been in place from the beginning. As far as when they decided to make it public, because it's been in the labs and in practical use in certain areas for many years, late 90s, and on a, let's say, a large scale at one institution. I just don't want to name it right now, but again, you know, the public is always a minimum of 30 years behind what's actually, let's say, being done or in practice to a certain degree in certain ways, whether it's through a USAP or a SAP or any number of deep, unacknowledged special access type programs. But it also is being used in corporate settings and has been for quite a long time. It's been being perfected. In 2010, it was rolled out into social media through bots. And people call it bots. No, there was an AI component controlling a lot of that and creating these false personas and engaging in these arguments and learning, and everyone using their phone. Doesn't matter, even just texting and telephone calls. You're feeding into databases that feed these systems and what they will pull on to learn. Now, they do have a firewall for you can't just go in there and say, tell me about John Smith, you know, somebody who pissed you off at work or whatever, you know, your daughter's dating and you don't like them. No, it won't do that, because you're jumping into breaking some serious laws of civil liberties and privacy and all of that. But it stops there. However, not in other applications for special reasons in certain agencies. It's in full use. And again, it's something that it's good that people are becoming aware of the potential dangers of it. Musk wasn't out there, and many others weren't out there of that caliber saying what they were saying for no reason at all. There is a very good reason for them saying that. This has been known that it could go in this direction theoretically since the 50s and 60s. In detail. Prior to that, in mention in theory. So again, there's a lot that can be put on the table and discussed at this point. And I think we're getting to that point rapidly. And it has to be rapidly, because the development and the self-development of all of this is geometric ad infinitum.
Well, I got a question for Doc.
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember the movie Eagle Eye, right?
Yeah.
That movie was released in 2008. Would you say that the actual machine Eagle Eye was AGI or ASI?
I would have to say it's beyond ASI.
Yeah.
Beyond the ASI. All right.
Yeah.
So that was in 2008. The guy in the link that did that 2-hour podcast, okay, and the host is incredible. His stuff is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
by the way.
He's a great host. Yeah.
Yeah. His timeline, his role was basically to predict how far we were going and by what year were we going to be there. So he has papers that they showed on there in 2008, for that matter. He said that by 2026, okay, we'll be on the heels of ASI. They told him, no, the company's,
He said
OpenAI told him, no.
AGI. 2023 AGI. Yeah.
He said, you need to dial it back. That's too much, because why? They're competing on who can get there first, right? Whether it's OpenAI, whether it's Anthropics, whether it's, Grok or whoever, whatever, right? Well, guess what? Then they came back because they had advanced so quickly. They said, okay, your prediction, your timeline, you need to bump that up a little bit. So he narrowed everything down. Ready? He said, by 2027, we'll be there. By 2030, in masses, it's done. So does that have safety precautions, countermeasures put in place so they don't run us humanity into extinction? Well, I don't know.
Well, and what worries me is, and I see a question there. The press never asked Mr. T about flock cameras or data centers. There's something to that, I believe.
There is.
Yes, I'd like to hear more from the administration about that, but I understand
I can tell you how that works. So right now, all of the upgraded flock cameras, surveillance systems that are, that are outgoing right now to be installed have all the super upgraded advanced AI systems into all of the new flock systems and anything that's parallel to the flock systems. There's been police officers, Uber drivers, fired over jobs because of these flock cameras. It's rapidly expanding. These flock cameras, they can listen. They can pick up your phone calls. They can pick up your text messages, your SMS messages. It's
Faraday bag.
Well, it could push even further, through a Faraday bag or, aluminum foil, whatever you want. With
Love
the
my
amount,
aluminum foil hat. It took me a long time to make it. Don't down my hat now.
well,
Just kidding.
yeah, it's very advanced, and that's what they're rolling out now. And that's why you see a lot of people fighting against the flock surveillance systems.
Birdshot.
Birdshot, buckshot.
Well, the thing is you can take down a flock camera and they'll just come back and replace it. It's not connected. It's not connected to.
It's a cheap setup.
It's not connected to wires in the ground. It's not connected to fiber optics in the ground. Dig it up.
LTE.
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi. It has its own Wi-Fi. It's solar powered. So as soon as you take it down, they're just going to put another one back up. And if you take an old one down, they're going to put a brand new one back up. And
all they got to do is just tap into the traffic lights, man, in one of their outlets, and it's done. Nobody's going to saw down power stoplights. You know what I mean? At an intersection.
With the flock systems, they're self-running and self-sustaining. So it doesn't even tap into the power grid. So even if the power were to go down, they're self-sustaining, that they run off solar.
God's eyes never blind.
So I put a link in earlier and I didn't understand because I do such a good job at labeling my links. And I'm like, why the hell did I put this link in? So it's not this one, it's the next one. But I'm going to set you guys up because I have to hit the men's room for about 30 seconds. But I'm going to set you guys up with two stories here quick to chat about for a second. Armando, this guy is going, he's a teacher's aide, and he's going over the grading of a test. And so not only, it says, no, AI is not found. However, somebody grabbed a program that makes it look like somebody sat there and typed. So not only do the students or the teachers know, they can actually literally watch the students typing a report. So they have all this technology that does this. But so from my perspective, being a father, right? Like my son got into high school or starting in middle school. Oh, cool. They give all the kids these Chrome laptops. Isn't that nice of them? Free of charge. Oh, great. Well, now they got to implement all this technology to it. And not only this, but these guys are seeing them actually write the report. And then you got the counter to it, the kids going out to get programs to try to deceive this, but then they get programmed, and it's kind of like the MLB baseball steroid thing, right? Like MLB's got this is illegal. Well, we get these great scientists that make these state of the art steroids, and then now that's illegal. So back and forth, they're fighting this stuff now. I'll also say that to bring up the other link that popped into my head, why exactly I brought it, because I knew you were coming on with us today, and I'm not going to play the video. However, I'm going to show just a little bit of it. And essentially what this video is talking about once we started bringing technology into the schools for the kids, what happened with the tech, what happened with the kids. And actually it's a short, so I can let the whole thing play here. So let me see.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful one right there.
Right?
Right. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, play that.
Let me move this to the side here so I can unmute it. Here we go. You guys are going to love this one here.
I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Every generation has outperformed their parents, and that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that.
No peaches.
Across 80 countries, as Gene was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly. To the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state. Here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data. Compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop. Of course, this is all correlative. What we really want is causative. To get causation, what you need is academic research, and you need mechanisms, explanations for why we're seeing what we're seeing. Luckily, we have academic research stretching back to 1962 that shows the exact same story for 60 years. When tech enters education, learning goes down. In fact, because what do kids do on computers? They skim. So rather than determining what do we want our children to do and gearing education towards that, we are redefining education to better suit the tool. That's not progress, that is surrender. My name is Dr. Jared Cooney.
I mean, technology seems like a good thing. It's easier, right? So microwave food versus take the time to cook something for a couple of hours, right? Sit down and read a book rather than doing it on a computer. And they say, I guess, when we do things on computers, they tend to look more cursory. They kind of scan over things more than reading something if it was in a book. But this is just backing up my argument of like, oh, the technology with voting ballots and stuff, no, we need to go back to paper. The kids in schools using just computers to do all their stuff, no, we need to go back to paper, right? We need to go back to the old stuff. So the floor is yours, guys. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Teach cursive writing. My God.
I'll tell you something very.
Tell me about that in the school system.
I'll tell you something very interesting too. That I get involved. My specialty now is not so much break fix anymore. I specialize now in audio, video, podcasting, and stuff like that for obvious reasons, and not really so much anything else. Okay, some networking and stuff like that. But I also get called in sometimes to do actual studies, if you will, and research and just look at certain patterns and traits. It is shocking to me the amount of the little kids, middle school, even into high school, the amount of kids that just over the past years wearing these, okay, because of their exposure to blue light, because of their exposure to computer screens all damn day long, and phones also as well. They're on these devices 24/7, and it's now, according to studies that we've done, it's now affecting their vision. Okay, so now little Johnny, little Mary need glasses. Okay, well, who benefits from that? Right? Pharmaceuticals, the optometrists, right? The eye doctors, the copay on insurance to be able to afford glasses if you have coverage. It's more money out of your pocket. See where I'm going with this? Yeah. I understand if you were born with it, okay, still you could read a book, right? Still you can write, you know, use more pens.
But they're not even teaching cursive writing in a lot of schools now. How do you make a true signature? And I've seen signatures. Someone stole checks from me from a hotel, the staff cleaning the room. And I had them hidden in a compartment in my luggage. The bank immediately called me when they tried to pass 2 checks, each for $1,650. This was years ago. This signature was my name, but written in squares and rectangles. I kid you not.
Yeah.
Squares and rectangles and straight lines. The bank immediately called and said, we know this is not your, because my signature looks like CRAP on steroids. And they immediately flagged it. But the fact was, you're going to forge a name, and you actually, that was someone who was illiterate. Someone else had written the numbers in, you could tell that. Then whoever did the block, it was made of squares, rectangles, and straight lines. That's not a signature.
Our system here our system here 2 years ago, because of board meetings and parental input, the older ones anyway, grandparents mostly, complained so much about 2 things. And 2 years ago, we adopted cursive writing back into the school system, into the curriculum. And now they have the, at least in my days, you know, they had the actual alphabet in cursive, you know, in banners, you know, across the walls on top of the classrooms. They now have that. And now we have removed all digital clocks from all classrooms and have put analog clocks in there because why? Kids couldn't read or write cursive, and they couldn't read an analog clock.
Yep.
They couldn't even, you know, it's half past noon. They couldn't answer. Well, what does that mean? What is that? Well, it's a digital clock. Here, my phone says it's 12:15. Is that the same thing? My phone. Guys, I'm telling you, man, this it infuriates me so much that I'm to the point, man, I cannot wait for next year to freaking retire. I swear to God.
But the more important thing is Susie wants to be Johnny, and they're not going to tell the parents.
No, that's fine.
I mean, you know, that's okay. That's good. No, not a problem with that. But yeah, basic math and basic English. And no, English is the language. A country is defined by borders, language, and culture, period. It's defined by that. What's the second? Language. And the bottom line is we're failing them. We're failing children horribly. And we're going to pay for it.
By design.
We're going to pay for it unless somehow AI can help make up for it. But that takes effort on the part of the individual. So good luck with that too.
It also takes effort on the parents.
Yeah.
The parents of these kids right now are to blame just as much as the actual system. Why? Because they inherited the same damn system. So they just pass it along naturally to their kids without knowing any better. All right. And I see the comment that Doc put here in our chat. And I'll just ask you this question. And this is to Ghost and to Doc, right? Let's say little Johnny graduates high school, 18 years old, wants to join any branch of the military, don't care what it is, but I'll just use the Army as an example, okay? And he wants to go through RASP training. That would be Ranger Assessment and Selection Process, if I'm not mistaken. You think these kids could actually learn to read a damn analog compass if they had to? Let that sink in for a moment, right? I guarantee you they can't. Which way is north? Well, I can just bring up my app on my iPhone and just use the measurement app. Oh, look, compass right there. Okay, point. Oh, I'm going north. But what if you don't have access to electronics or your battery dies and you're out in the middle of the woods?
EMP.
I'm telling you, analog is not a bad thing, guys. It's not. It really isn't. But what do I know?
We need to stick with the
well,
old.
let's think of it this way: if GPS goes out, all right, for whatever reason. Now, there's multiple systems with Starlink up there now, but let's say it went out for whatever reason, hacked. Who knows? How many people know how to just pick up a road map, watch their odometer, or use a compass for that matter? How many people know?
How many people can do Morse code?
Very,
very few.
Out of 700,
that's a talk for another show.
Ham users, probably 10 to 30,000 of them know.
Yeah,
the rest don't know. They'll just use a decoder encoder.
And, pretty good with the map.
You know, yeah. But maps, basic road map, knowing how to tell northeast, south, and west without a compass, just by the sun, at any time of the year,
or what time it is.
Basic, yeah, or basically with a stick in the ground, what time it is on that day, in that time of the year. We are analog illiterate, and that's a problem. Analog is easy, but it's reliable.
I remember when the
radio tube, even vacuum tubes are coming back into ham radio use for good reason. A nuclear blast won't affect them.
Do you remember when the Greeks and the Romans used to use sundials?
Yeah. Well,
ask a kid today what a sundial is. I dare you.
Yeah. But Mike, what were you going to say?
So here's a question, a serious question, is what do we do with our youths when they get out of high school? What are we going to do for the workforce for them?
I got the answer to that.
I mean, one, okay, you got the military, but they may not even qualify for the military. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, let's just say, for, just theoretical purposes, AI's taking over all these jobs and you have robots, not a lot, just doing certain things. And where are these people going to work? How are they going to make income? How are they going to survive? How are they going to pay for insurance? How are they going to pay for a car? These are questions that I actually wonder about, because I have nieces and nephews, and just like you're saying, Armando, like the level of education, like, one's in 4th grade or one's in, 6th grade with a second and third grade IQ. And, and they have to pass them along to get the other kids going. But the teachers, the teachers aren't just, not teaching them. They just don't have the time to, and the school system is pushing them along in grades. So, let's just say in 5 years from now, what are we going to do with all the, with the future generations for the workforce? I really wonder about that. I mean,
one thing I see schools forming for what I would term generalist learning about a lot of different things, and of all, people attending of all ages. Now, whether it's online or a combination online or going in, I see that as an ongoing education, as a necessity, not a chip implanted in your head to keep up with ASI, but actual human learning. Because in the end, these machines should be complementing the one thing we have naturally, several things we have naturally: our imagination, our ability to see through time and space, our ability to do many amazing things that were traditionally not taught, or society's structure was meant to keep us from. And I just see, I'm being positive in what I'm saying, a metamorphosis in focus of what people learn and develop within themselves. And it's interesting that you say one thing, Mike, where's the money going to come from, or how are things going to happen? And the other day, here's a data point to that, and I'll explain that data point. They were talking about these machines, these computer terminals, where you could create money from nothing. All right, I'm not going to go too far with this, but those were known as the black and the gray screens. Now, some people in finance are going to disagree. No, that's because that's what your access level led you to know. Those machines, literally, if you have the right position and authority in the sovereign realm in particular, you can create money out of thin air, because the value is on the human being at birth. And that value, once set, only grows in that fiat system. It's not your money. It's because you don't own the system. The monetary amount is just based on you. There is money to pay for everything for everyone, many times over. And that's going to have to be tapped into. And I think that's why they leaked the discovery. I can tell you Scott Besson was briefed on it, and maybe 3 other people in Treasury know what he knows about them. As far as that extent and that level of clearance to the black and gray screens, I know that system was being replaced. This is probably those terminals for that newer system. That, yes, if you have the proper access, you can create the money out of thin air for a reason, whatever that purpose may be. But it has to have a very definite reason. Now, they put that out to the public. In other words, again, I see such drastic changes with the rapidity of how AI, once fully in place to where it's going in the next 3 years or so, then a lot of truths and realities of how the system has traditionally been run will come out. Yes, people will be offended. Yes, they won't like it. But I'll tell you what, for its time, it was a perfect, imperfect system. And it kept humanity from killing itself off completely. And we're going to see changes in attitudes towards warfare, kinetic warfare. Everything is going to, by its own nature, re-qualify and reclassify itself. And it will be things where we won't need certain job descriptions anymore. But there will be others. I wholly believe that if we do this right, and in the end, if we stand to lose money and turn the economy end over end, it will be done right. Might not be perfect. I said right. Right and perfect are 2 different things. Right and desirable are 2 different things. But again, I think it's going to be done with the greatest good for the greatest number. That's, if we don't, then as a human race, we've lost. And I don't think we're going to, I don't even think China wants to go to that point. They have to maintain internal integrity. Now, we don't do it their way. And bottom line is, in the end, fine, do it your way. Let us do ours. Let's stop infiltrating each other to the point of ad nauseum, to where we can actually progress, and commerce and the better ideas reign and win the day. That's who we are as humanity. We're co-creators. We don't create anything. We mimic, or we give a take on a concept. Pure art, for art's sake, takes a take on a concept and has no other function than that. Now, that function may be a deep function with many people, and as it should be, but it's not going to cause an economic movement, whereas business endeavors will. And all of this with AI, there may be, if we limit our imaginations by fear, we're not doing AI justice, and AI is not going to do us justice. We have to do it right, and we have to do it measured. And again, a two-edged sword. Everything's a two-edged sword. So let's sharpen the right edge on this one.
Absolutely.
Here's what nobody talks about either when it comes to AI. Okay, and I'll end with this because I know we got to carry on here. Okay, why not use? Let's just go with general. Let's just go with AGI. Why not come up with solutions to cure cancer? Why not come up with solutions to heal disease, hunger, homelessness? You know, those things that affect us now, unemployment, things of that nature. Okay, and what are they going to do when they get out of school? Well, guess what? They're going. If this goes full bore the way that these companies are saying that it will by 2027, 28, 29, or even 2030, whatever. Okay, well, you're going to have to hire bodies. Okay, actual human bodies to go in there and service the robots and service the algorithms and service this and that. Oh, but no, wait, Armando, if you get ASI, it can do all of that. It can write code. It's already writing code and it's learning on its own. So what do humans do then? Okay, well, the robots will sweep the floors. They'll take out the trash. They'll clean the johns and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe little Johnny and Mary can become, I don't know, rap stars like somebody put here in the comment. Okay, or they can be influencers, or they can be disc jockeys at a rave, you know, where AI can do the mixing track. All you got to do is push the buttons, right? I'm telling you, it's.
Well, it can go one way or the other, and it will probably. I'd like to hear what all of you think about this. It's everything. It's wisdom and common sense. It'll do both. It'll go both ways. And how are we? We can sit here and think about how we're going to control it going both ways, because it needs to be controlled. It needs to be regulated. It needs to be watched and morally and ethically rolled out. So
what you need to do is, Ghost, is control the billionaires that own these companies, okay, and hold their feet to the fire. And just say no, period. That's where it is. Because when you know as well as I do, brother, that when the human condition kicks in and that's a dollar sign, that's all they're looking at. They don't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah, because that dollar is going to make them more handsome, and you know what I mean, with people and money. It's pathetic. Yeah, and we're going to have to again. But you know what? Humanity has access to it all. You got your devices, they're crawled up your behinds, they're spying on you 24/7. There are ways to back out of that and then just to contribute to AI reasonably and responsibly. And again, it's going to come down to the collective unconscious and conscious of the entire human race with this thing. This is how much of an effect it's going to have, and it already is having. And there are people writing books now once a month. Well, it's not them writing once a month. there are a lot of people now who are writing who are not writers. And as a writer, it's easy to tell that and to say, yeah, try to insert your personality, your voice, your fingerprint into this, because I just heard an AI sermon and it's good. But you better fact check it again and put your personality into it. And who's to say that's not a valid way of writing? Because that means they're asking great questions, proper questions, if they're really getting into the meat of a matter. So I'm looking at that and saying, hey, this is a whole new way of human expression, but you've got to keep at least 51% human, or the expression is for naught. It's a machine's thoughts. It's a machine's limited take because of its limited access. And it is still limited access. And even if you had smart dust and everything, it doesn't matter. It would still be a level of limited access, and it would never truly grasp who and what humanity is. And no, it cannot become sentient. It is billions of transistors within a single chip among, literally, it will be billions of chips doing the processing. And it's all number crunching. It's mimicry. I love these oligarchs talking about inserting their minds into a computer. Well, great. If you can map the neurons of a mind and duplicate that digitally, fan-fucking-tastic. But your soul, what don't you get about the fact that your essence, the most powerful force in the universe, that you happen to have a little window through while in this meat suit, do you think that's going to sit in a system, in a computer? I don't think so. So to the world, it may be Peter Thiel 50 years after he's dead, but it's a mimicry of it. It's a simple, it's a parlor trick using huge data centers 4 times the size of Central Park. So we've got to get perspective from the human aspect, from the technological aspect, from the engineer scientific aspect of it all. And this all has to be brought together, and it all has to be, and it is happening. By the grace of God, it is all happening. People are discussing it. The right ones are giving the right warnings. And God forbid, let's not let these legislator wonks in DC, excuse my language, but fuck it up. Because most of them don't understand the extent of this. They're getting there. But then again, let's just look. As the schools have gone, so has the intelligence level in our legislative bodies. I'll just say one name, Jasmine Crockett.
God.
She plays the
Perfect
dummy.
example. Plays the dummy.
Inner
is
city.
the dummy.
Yeah.
And the gang, the little Muslim gang, or the just the liberal gang that has a few Muslims in it. And okay, so what if they're Muslim? But they're idiotic Muslims. That's the problem. The one who married her brother, the one who was a bartender. These were all actors put up for your argument and enjoyment pleasure. What really worries me is 2 things: the psyops and the corruption as we go into the AI age. You can't have that strung along. You cannot have that and make the phase jump correctly. I'm sorry. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, guys, what about this post here I've had on the screen for 10 minutes or so? Elon, this is a quote from Elon. He did say this, and I won't mimic him because it'll take me 20 minutes to say a 5-second sentence. That's how you know the AI videos of Elon Musk are AI, when he speaks perfectly. But Elon Musk reveals money itself may vanish as a concept once AI and robots satisfy every human need. He says wealth was never the point, labor allocation was. And a quote is, money is really an information system for labor allocation. And if there's no labor to allocate, it's meaningless. So, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get down that road, you know. But here's my problem with all this, right? This is a great idea in theory, right? Like, oh, AI can do everything. People won't need money. We'll just split up money. Everybody will have a great existence. But I know, and as well as you guys and everybody listening, know that there are a group of people that have to have the haves and the have-nots, right? So that's a thing that we need to tackle as far as making sure it's a fair world for everybody going forward, and we don't have, you know, like Hunger Games type of situation where, you know, one center is all great and everything, and everybody else is fighting for themselves and fighting for their lives outside of that, which I don't think will happen.
In essence, that's how the world has been played out. The Hunger Games, a few other series. There's one out there called Silo. There's a number of them that have gone from this century that have just echoed what you said, and we've already been living it. We've already been living it.
Absolutely.
We need, you know, as long as we have this ignoble thinking of haves and have-nots. However, you have a class of people who have built tremendous fortunes, and they are by far not the richest in the world. And Elon is not the first trillionaire. He's the first stabled slave trillionaire you've had.
Public trillionaire.
Public trillionaire. There's been trillionaires and quadrillionaires technically for quite a while. Yes.
How many you think?
About 37, 38.
Really?
In total, globally. Yeah.
That's
the sovereign realm. Okay. Again, the intelligence world, the diplomatic world, the political world does not have access to that world other than what they give you. The Vatican Bank says, we're not giving you the answers you want. They don't have to. They're sovereign. But when you hear in that short thing where that short 2 minute, 39-second piece by Rubio, he talks about the sovereignty of this nation. That's the most important thing. We regain sovereignty of our nation. We repopulate the representative republic, not the democracy, because I spell democracy DUHMACRACY. Okay, that's how you spell democracy. Democracy. It's an NLP term. Make people think that everything is fair, should be fair, is supposed to be fair. It's not fair. Okay? Brilliance is distributed throughout the population of the world. Absolute brilliance. You will find it everywhere. You won't find the pipelines to opportunity. What if AI opens up those pipelines? And we're talking about a new creativity that we're not even thinking of right now. And that's how, but it's going to come upon us so rapidly. We have to be ready to embrace that paradox. Not run from the paradox, not fear the paradox. Embrace it and work both sides. If we don't, with AI and humanity, wow, we're going to have a shitstorm. If we do, I think we can have a few. It's up to humanity. What do you want? A brighter future? Well, then get into the subject. AI is the most important subject out there right now. It even trumps all the corruption, but it is also what is going to make dealing with that level of corruption before certain transitions come so much easier. And Mike, I know you can reflect that from a law enforcement aspect. So I'll just leave it there. I'm trying to do my best. But,
Yeah, I just see it, the way this is going, and especially what Elon Musk is saying. If that's what's going to happen, and this is just my opinion and a theory, is you're going to have to reclassify an entire populous system of who's who and who does what, who has what, who gets what. And ultimately, in the end, it's always the same, no matter whether it's socialism, communism, democracy, Republican, is that in the end, it's always the big people who have all the money. They're always going to have all the money. They're always going to have the hot cars. They're always going to have the hot mansions, while the rest of everyone else, is suffering. Well, an example is, India. You look at India, and you have people making 27 cents an hour. And if this were to be a case study, or just a theory here, is, and it does happen, is how do we reclassify every individual in the United States, and how do we make them happy? Because a lot of what, in law enforcement, or, out of law enforcement, what you see is what you see is a lot of unhappy people, and, and a lot of crime. And, it's just, I got mixed emotions on this, and it's just, and I really do wish, the schools would do better. I wish the education system would do better to help kids, really have an educational system like, my father, my grandfather had, and, we had, growing up, and not coming into this society and into this world, without knowing how to read an analog clock. I think that's unfair. I think that's the most unfair, unethical, and
it's an egregious
it is
front.
It's sad. It's very sad.
I'll throw this in here. If Spaceshot, if unless you want to press on to something else, it's going to tie into this. And so whether you agree with me or not, that's fine. It's just an opinion of mine. But the other day, I know some people talk bad about them. Some people talk good about them. I think I have a great deal of respect for them, and that's the Amish people. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Amish and Mennonites. Yeah.
Okay. Amish and the Mennonites. Why? You're talking about a class of people. I saw a video the other day about keeping your house cool. Okay. The houses, the guy in this video that I saw, his house has been there, and they still live in it since the 1870s or something like that. It's still sound structurally, okay? Air conditioning, they don't use anything, right? They use something called thermodynamics, okay? They had knowledge that they inherited from their grandparents and their great-grandparents, and it's always been passed down through the generations, okay? Open the windows on the bottom, let's cool air in, okay? Make sure that your chimney stack, or not your chimney stack, your loop, whatever it's called, okay, heat rises, right? And you want to force that heat out. They use cloth sheets to capture moisture. Some of them use actual foil paneling also as well to radiate the heat and get it pushed out. It's a circulation system, right? They keep their house cool. Right?
Nesting outside.
Yeah, run on a fan, if you will. Okay, that runs off solar power, by the way. These people, it's not that they're stingy or cheap, they're smart, okay? The way that they plant things, how they harvest things, how they bake, they homeschool their kids, all right? They read the Bible, okay? Very important, okay? They also teach all of these hand labor techniques and tricks, okay, that they get by with everything, Okay. You think that they adopted AI? You think that they adopted technology? To some point, you know, they make YouTube videos. Okay, that's about it. All right. Right. They make their income that way. I mean, they're not stupid. All right. But the fact remains, horse and buggy, why not cars? Well, some people, oh, they don't want to pollute the air. No, it's inexpensive. Okay. It's natural. All right. They have survived all these millennia. They came from Europe.
And the horse has many uses other than pulling the cart.
There you go. Okay. They plant their own crops. They grow clean food. Okay. They raise their own animals without any pesticides or anything like that. Right. They're not idiots. They're very, very smart. I mean, a lot of, oh man, have you tried the Amish's sticky buns at the local farmer's market? They're amazing. Yeah, but that's full of sugar. No. They use a different kind of sugar. They use different herbal medicines, all kinds of this stuff. Okay. What's my point? Doc put a comment here. It says, you know, if the failing generation cannot compete educationally, then the best would possibly adopt them into the military, into a war where they're able bodies and can be utilized. Just a theory. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do you get around that for your nephews? Same thing I get around for my grandkids.
Just for the service and the education. That
right?
It's see one, do one, teach one.
My boy grandkids.
No time wasted.
The twins, right? You know, Mama came to me the other day and said, oh, you know, the kids, the boys were saying that they don't really like when Grandpa comes over too much. I'm like, really? Why is that? You know, shit, I'm the life of the party. And they're like, no, because they make me turn off my Xbox, and they take my tablet and he makes me turn it off, and he's bringing me a book to read, you know, that I don't want to read. Or he wants to take me outside and he wants me to show me how to dig a hole, you know, with a shovel and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, make him useful. Not like Daddy, who is fucking useless in my opinion. But anyway, sorry, I had to say that.
They'll thank you later though, for that. When they get older, they will remember and thank you for that later, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, to Doc, what's my point?
Keep a recording of this for them.
Put books in front of them. Turn off their devices. Put books in front of them. Talk to them. Have a conversation. Expose them to the outdoors. Show them basic necessities, hand tools, how to properly operate them Okay, camping. Safely. Okay, camping. Thank you very much. Oh my God, yeah.
I love camping too.
You know, teach them survival skills. All right. Teach them, you know, hey, if you're thirsty for water, here, you take 4 bamboo poles and you make a square and put a sheet of plastic on the top and tie it. Okay. Condensation. You poke a hole in the middle and put a bucket on the bottom. You're going to get water. Okay.
Dig a 1 meter by 1 meter hole and do the same. Yeah. You'll get a gallon of water out of that hole a day if you're in loamy soil.
Yeah. Teach them how to solder. Teach them how to solder. Teach them how to sharpen a knife. You know, teach them basic survival skills, because I assure you that will pay dividends hugely down the line. It will, because they will learn that skill that Grandpa showed me this really cool trick, right? And guess what? The day that they have kids, if they do, okay, they'll pass that knowledge along the same way the Amish do, guys, the same way that they do. Okay. I have mad respect for these people, and the Melanites too, because they're a tight-knit community, regardless of whatever their religious beliefs are, and that in itself. But these people have survived. They have survived millennia. Okay. Their houses from the 1800s. Jesus Christ. Here's one thing that this guy said, and I'll stop.
They're joined.
Okay.
They're joined and rarely nailed. They're not going anywhere, a lot of those homes, for hundreds of years.
This guy said that back in the 1960s, mid-60s, I'm going to say maybe early 70s, the housing the fabricators, right, the house builders, they came to the consensus that they just built these houses wrong. They were not built to breathe. Why? Well, you got to keep the HVAC people, air conditioning people in business, right? Oh, you need insulation to keep heat out. No, that just gathers more heat. Right? So people put all this fiberglass shit up in your attic, right? They close up all the soffits and stuff, and it's like the house can't breathe, right? So it's 100 and something plus degrees in July and August, you know, inside an attic, and you're wondering why you're sweating in bed with the air conditioning going full blast, right? That makes your energy bill go through the damn roof.
Why there's mold growing up
there. But they'll tell you, you need to insulate. You need to insulate, right? No, you're just making it hotter. Okay,
You need
and that wears and
can
tears on
you know
your
what?
that wears and tears on your roof shingles
You
also
can
as well. So guess
insulate,
what? I
but
need a
we
new
have
roof now.
we
Now
have
I need a new
we have
roof.
material that can reflect the heat back out. We don't build brick and stone homes anymore,
No,
and put the air barrier that keeps your house cool, and the taller ceilings by 2 feet, the taller windows. For those who live in hot areas, that actually works. And we don't use mylar on the outside. We should be lining the reflecting heat, I mean infrared back. We don't do that. Like you say, we just stuff it with fiberglass or spray in, and it's holding in heat in a lot of ways. I mean, thermodynamics works both ways all the time, like you're
there's
talking about.
ways. There's ways also. See, Cisco 57 put in here. He says, "Don't you need insulation in the wintertime, though?" Would again go see some of these Amish videos. I'm telling you right. Actually, you know what? Here, I'm just going to go ahead and drop this link in there if I can. Spaceshot.
Yeah,
And I'm done because I know we're running short on time. But let me just drop this in here real quick, and that way you guys can go out there and just watch it. Boom, 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 boom.
I got a question. I got a question for you, Armando. You said they drive around like horses and buggies and stuff. What happens if they get EMP'd? What are they going to drive around then?
Good question. Well, they do have goats.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's the Muslim way to travel.
So obviously I'm making a joke, but like, yeah, if there was an EMP, they'll be just fine, no problem, right along and just going. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people make fun of them and be like, oh, they do this weird and they do that weird. It's like they're doing it the right way, really.
Yeah, and if you've been to their furniture stores, they make a ton of money on their furniture.
And good stuff too. That'll be around.
I'll end Spaceshot. I'll end with this. Right. So we've heard about that massive tick outbreak. We're not going to into this the next PSYOP that's coming, that bacteria that's already infected 30 states. That's another show for another day, but just ticks. All right. You know what they use? What the Amish use to keep ticks from crawling up the dogs or their legs when they're out in the brush, especially if you got a nice lawn, right? Cedar chips, actual cedar. Why? Because the oil that's in the cedar, ticks hate it. And it keeps them out.
Most bugs hate it.
They don't hire Terminex to come out. Hey, I got a tick problem. Bring out Terminex and fumigate and charge me $200 or whatever. Right? No, I'm just telling you, it's
cedar
insane.
Chips, huh?
Cedar chests, cedar closets, cedar chests and closets work beautifully for moths and other things. I mean, all these basic things that they still do. That I have nothing like. I agree with you guys. Nothing but admiration for these folks, and a lot of them know the law. A lot of their land colonial status. A lot of times they'll group together, and there are actual on paper. These are separate countries within the state of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I know a very brilliant and very wonderful individual who owns over 400 acres outside of Wilkes-Barre. It is their own reservation / nation state. Mm-hmm. And this is how a lot of the Amish and Mennonites do it. Not all, but most of them. And you literally have small countries within our country. We already have it with all of the Indian reservations. But the treaties say the highways go through, we can drive through them. And, some of them are quite depressing and it's a sad thing. However, when you're talking about the Mennonites and the Amish, like Armando was saying, you're talking about a group of people who have it down, that no matter what, they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And
how many COVID deaths?
I'd like to pose one thing very quickly and then move on. I think 2 years military service mandatory should be in place because so many of these children that we're losing to the system failing them and the devices. That basic training alone would change lives. I know people who have never been through it or any type of OCS or anything like that. They don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is attention to detail is taught first and foremost. Camaraderie, overcoming differences, working together when you have to clean bays that have 100 guys in each one of them. You all work together. You learn to overcome differences very quickly. You learn I'm responsible for keeping my shit uptight. And if I don't have it right and my buddies helped me and I got it right, it's a whole, yes, it's very stressful, but it's meant to be that way. Yes, it doesn't strip you of who you are. It strips you of all the delusional shit you have surrounding your personality and your inner self, your mind, who you really are. And then further training and the everyday conduct and discipline required, it strengthens you. It brings out your better qualities. 2-year mandatory service for everyone in this country. It might be too expensive to do that, but 2-year mandatory service for those who could reach, say, a certain bar would improve the character, the backbone, and the future of this country in ways that no school, no university will ever. And I'd like to know what you guys think about that.
I think there is a serious lack of discipline overall in our kids. And I don't want to say every kid, of course, there are exceptions, but in general, to Armando and Ghosts, and I'm probably sure Mike's point as well, a lot of the kids are just, heads in the phones and the digital world and instant gratification. It's got to be now, and that's how they want it.
None of it's real.
Yeah,
and most of it isn't real.
It's true. I mean, I was talking to my buddy, my son's buddy last week, and he's in my son's grade, so going into 10th grade, and my son had a sleepover because his friend was all broken up that his girlfriend broke up with him. And I mean, you guys remember that being in high school and like how everything back then felt like it was the end of the world, right? But again, it wasn't in the totality of things. It wasn't like, you laugh at those things when you grow up. So that for me was like a little trip down memory lane now. But as far as the technology, I mean, it's everything. It has its good points, of course, right? Like you can get information quicker, but then it makes kids lazy to the point where they don't need to go out and get it. But I would agree. I'm sure these other two guys would agree too, but I'll let them get their viewpoints in as well. But I think discipline would be certainly a good thing for the kids to have. But what do you think there, Mr.? How about Mr. Mike? We haven't heard from you in a while, and then we'll hear from Mr. Armando as well. Please.
Yeah, I think I think it would be very well. And the one thing that I have a big deal with the military with is their standards for getting into the military. We're in 2026, coming up to 2030. I understand you have infantry, and I understand you have, armor units, mortarmen, whatever, pilots, get it. But you got to drop the standards. Like if people have, flat feet or asthma or some type of medical problem, you just, unless it's a severe medical problem and it does impede the force of, the military, and I've looked at other countries that have done this, where they have let people in with certain medical problems like asthma, hay fever, or certain eye problems. they have them do other jobs. You know, they have
Yeah.
them do finance, logistics. They don't always have to be infantry. And it's just
Right.
something that, you know, I've always thought about, like, let's just say there is a minimum, 1 or 2 year military.
You got a lot of smart, gifted kids who have flat feet. They
Well,
should be
yeah.
fine at this.
There, there is a ton of smart, gifted kids that are brilliant off the charts, and all they want to do their whole life is join the military. And then when it gets time to joining the military, they get disqualified for something so minute and small or medical. And it just destroys their life at that time and period. And they go off and do what crazy kids in high school do or after high school do. And I'm guilty of that. We all are. But if you were to change those mechanisms to where you could just let them into the service and, put them as a 92 Alpha, 92 Yankee, where they're doing, admin stuff, something. It gives them that structure. It gives them that support. It gives them a house over their head. Security. You have a house, you have food, you have clothing, you have a source of income coming in, you have medical care. You can save some money to go buy a car, hopefully not a car at 24%.
Further your education.
Yeah, further your education, exactly. So at some point, especially with all this AI stuff, something has to be done with the military to where we have to start letting more people in that have these medical issues and not push them away. I think that's a disservice of our country, pushing people away when we already know, because and here's a fact, is that there's people in the military that they have no problems when they get in the military, they're square, but after a tour or training sessions or courses, they break a leg, they do something, they get something shrapnel in their eye and they have to get surgery, and now their right eye or left eye is messed up, but they're still in the military. Okay, so it's like a double standard. So you got to drop that, and let people in, give them a chance, and let them let them try to be successful, but also mentor them. And that's the one biggest thing that I do myself. And the biggest thing that I tell my NCOs under me is that you have to mentor your soldiers under you. You have to make sure that you are taking care of them. If one of them goes out and gets drunk, that is your responsibility. If the Escambia County or Pensacola sheriff calls and says, "Hey, I need you to pick them up," that's your responsibility to go pick him up instead of letting him drive away. And instead of getting a DUI. And there's just, it's not a free for. I don't want it to be a free for all. How over the 20 years I've seen it go, and within service, and mentor them, like, hey, you're already at your second year, your third year mark. What are you thinking about when you're getting out of the military? I ask my guys that, like, you're coming up to your retirement. Have you thought about what you want to do? Have you completed your education, your bachelor's, associates, or even a certification, project management, a construction certification, HVAC? Have you thought about what you want to do when you get out of the military? Because I've lost a lot of friends to suicide who get out of the military, and that, they get out of the military, they've had no guidance, they've had no mentorship, they've had no one help them when they're exiting the military, and they drink themselves to death, they do drugs, they commit suicide, or they go on a rampage of just insane things. And then you have a percentage who actually get out and actually do well and do good things, but it's a very small number. And these are just things that I want to see change within the military. Give the American citizens a chance, especially if they have small, minor medical problems. Let them do an office job. Let them do logistics. Let them, something that can be done. That does not require you to go to war. You know, even if they have a mid-severe medical problem, okay, let the main unit, you know, the main detachment go out in front in the combat. They could stay in the rear detachment, stay back in the United States, and they could funnel all the supplies back into, you know, into the company or division, brigade, whatever it's going to be, to make sure it gets back overseas to their friends and, you know, to their buds. And I think those are changes I believe those are changes that need to be made. And these are easy solutions that you can easily fix. And not just pick, you know, like, oh, he's got a 75, he's got an 85, 95 on his ASVAB. You know, we're going to put him in intelligence. We're going to, he's got a 38, you know, we're just going to put him in infantry. We're going to put him in 19 Bravo, you know, like, you know, it's just, you know, give people a chance. Let them, just give them a chance, mentor them, help them be successful when they're getting out, or even in the mid-career section, is help them with school, you know, see what type of schooling they like. You know, are they hands-on learning, or are they visual? You know, then guide them to where, you know, where they think is, or you think is best for them, you know, and that's what I do for my Joes. And, you know, and I don't see that in you know, big Army. You know, it's just, you know, there was a training, you know, we had with, you know, a unit, and especially when it came down to the mechanics, you know, they're just, you know, chilling in the mechanic bay, you know, sleeping, not doing anything. And it just made me think, like, this sucks. Like, this is sad, because you could be more productive. And even there was a master sergeant and a first sergeant that were there just sleeping too. And even though you had nothing to do, you could still go out and succeed and, you know, do online school, you know, online college.
You could find a place for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can study for your next bump in rank.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially if you're a mechanic, you work in logistics, you work in supply, you work in dispersing and stuff like that. There's your accountant, there's your banking people. You work in the supply chain, right? Could be, I don't know, you know, you could be run a restaurant, especially even if you're a cook, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You could always find something on the outside. And I'll touch on this really quick, because I know we're pressed for time. This is what I agree with everything, Doc, you just said. There is one thing I would love to see in the military, and I think especially with like your 11 Bravo types, but this will be like for your, it applies to Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, especially, even your Coast Guard in some matters, right? What age do most people enlist at? Let's just call it 18. Okay, that was me, 18, 17 going on 18, right? I enlist, right? I was trying to find myself an identity. Didn't have one. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't know where I wanted to go. So I just followed suit with some of my high school mates. Oh, well, so-and-so joined the Marines. So-and-so joined the Army. He went to the Air Force. Hell, I'm going to do the Navy because I want to travel and see the world. Woo, great, awesome, right? So what does the Navy did for me? They gave me an identity. They gave me a job. They gave me a career path. They gave me food. They gave me clothing, and they gave me housing, right? Awesome, great, fantastic. I go and I do my thing. Right? I make a decision at some point in time that I want to get out and go back into civilian life. And this is where the military as a whole, in my opinion, fails. They do not have a transition program in place for you to transition from an identity back to an established identity back to a non-identity. Because I was an ordnanceman, aviation ordnance, right? Build bombs, freaking ordnance, weapons. Right? What the hell was I going to do when I got out? Well, you can get a job working at a gun store as a gunsmith or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't pay shit. Okay, where am I going to go build? Oh, well, you can join the police force and join the bomb squad. Okay, yeah, good luck with that too, because that's not really what I want to do. So guess what? I now have no identity. I have to rebuild an identity. And I don't know where to start because I only know the one that I was given and trained for. I know nothing else. And this applies to a lot of your people that are combat engineers, people that are, ground pounders, grunts, that type of person, special forces, SEALs, whatever you want to call it, okay? There is no exit plan from the military how to transition back into civilian life. So what's the problem? There's your PTSD, most of it, right? There's no help at all, nothing. You get out, you sign your papers, you go get your medical, you get all your shit, and you're gone, bye. There comes your homelessness problem. There comes your addiction and your abuse problem, because you don't know what the hell to do with yourself because you don't know anything. And God forbid if you've lost buddies along the way too, that carries with you forever, right? Trust me, I know, all right? I struggled with that shit when I got out. Thank God I had my cousin who's now passed on, who was a Vietnam vet, right? That told me, no, listen, do this, do that, look at this. And he got me on my way. My father couldn't tell me what to do. My mother sure as hell couldn't either, right? I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep on the floor and there was a bed next to me, but I had to unscrew myself mentally to adapt back into civilian life, right? I don't know if any of this is making any sense, but I wish the military would have some sort of plan widely to help these people, whatever it is that you did, to transition back into civilian life with something in your pocket. If you were a cook, look into getting a job in a restaurant or opening your own restaurant. If you worked in dispersing, try looking into finance, looking into banking, okay? You have an avenue there. And these are the people Mike is talking about here. Okay, if you worked in laundry, like doing laundry, shit, open up a dry cleaners, right? You already have the skills, but transition it. Have the military help you with your MOS, how to take that skill or whatever it is that you learned and help you transition back into civilian life and put that to good use instead of saying, sign here, you're discharged, thank you for your service, here's your honorable discharge or whatever, goodbye, have a nice day. That is bullshit. It doesn't work. It just doesn't, man. And anyway, I'm done.
No, it's very, very good and valid points, dude, for sure. And, I would say, put it, I would say write some emails, both your idea and Mike's idea, and, try to pass them up the line and see what could be done. Because I think we're missing a lot of assets out there, like to Mike's point, people that could be used, but yet they're not. And then like you're saying too, absolutely. Like, I think both of these ideas, definitely would hold water, because people acclimating back into life after seeing a bunch of nasty stuff, people blown up, what have you, definitely need somebody to help them kind of reacclimate. So I think it absolutely makes sense. Abso-freaking-tively. But guys, we are on 3 hours and 14 minutes. So I was going to do a couple thank yous and then be out the door. This one came in a while ago. Thank you, Mr. Belushi, who had rated the chat a couple hours ago. So thank you for that. If you happen to be there, brother. My brother, Original Clag, who is a retired, I always mess this up, probably San Bernardino. I probably get the city wrong, but California fireman, retired there. Dropped a $17 Rumble rant. Says, yo, present, always watching. Appreciate you, brother, over there. And then a couple thank yous over on Pilled. Moon Baby dropped a cookie. Says, thank you guys all for all the news. And thank you, Moon Baby. I'm going to read this one last. This is funny. Norwegian Wood gifted the cookies, talking about the crazy liberals shave their purple hair. Yeah, that would be a good start for them for sure. And then Sean Joe came in with a cookie. Appreciate you, brother. Space Squad member there with a cookie. No message on there, but thank you. And then another can came in from Sean Joe, Space Squad member. Appreciate you, brother. And the last but not least is Truitt dropped a cookie talking about the Conor McGregor fight we were chatting about in the beginning, which kind of backing up my viewpoint on it. Truitt says, no, the fight wasn't rigged. There is a video of Conor practicing that very kick during warm-ups before the fight. Not everything that happens is a conspiracy. Sometimes shit happens, which it's very, very, very plausible. And I would just say simply, I don't think you go and even attempt that kick unless you're a complete piece of crap that like, yeah, I'm a little injured. I'm going to make it look like a fake injury, but I don't know. I figure he looked genuinely disappointed to me on that one, but I'm not in his head, so I can't tell you 100%. But that's what I'm guessing and leaning towards. And Ghost, I don't know if you saw, but I was able to switch the guns, and see what happened was I was able to switch the guns from purple to yellow, but then the image it gave me wasn't clear as the original image. So AI again foils the plans. But of course, I give all three of you guys obviously your parting words. Here it is. And see, they made it a little fuzzier in the background for whatever, when the original image was so much nicer and clearer. But Mr. Armando, you might have to run out the door. I don't know if you got school in the morning, but you want to do any parting words, final thoughts for the crew?
No. Just grateful to be here. Thank you very much. Enjoyed the guys in the chat as always. Your audience here is exceptionally amazing. So I appreciate the support. Just be streaming on Thursday. This Thursday, 7:00. We're going to get into episode 1 of Restoration of the Republic update. Okay, so we got some nuggets we're going to drop there, but other than that, that's it, man. I'm good for a little bit. So thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. That is Armando's channel. That's Armando right there, of course. And his channel is Truth Table News World. I'm going to drop the link. And I know that the mods have been dropping them throughout the show, so we appreciate that.
They have.
But yeah, go over and give Armando a follow, guys, especially if you're enjoying the stuff over here. I'm dropping it in the chat again. Let's see. Mr. Doc Mike, sir. And again, I will also preempt your thank you, because I know you're going to thank, and I'm thanking the folks out there for because they are just, as Armando said, we have some of the greatest people out here, and I've said it for years and years. Every time when I ask people for prayers out there, those always seem to be my most receptive posts out on X, which is I'm totally happy with that. So I've always said we have the greatest community out there, because they're always so willing to help people. So with that, I'm going to also say thank you to the folks who have already donated to Mike's wife Renee's Gofundme, which is also in the description box, and the mods have been dropping that one as well. And again, if you do have $1 or $2 to give or more, of course we'll take that. But like I said, at the end of the day, we'll have about 30,000 plus people watching this. So if all you guys gave $1, we would be absolutely stoked. But do what you can, and if you can't do that, we will absolutely accept prayers. As prayer in numbers absolutely works. But Mr. Mike, sir, any parting words, sir?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the audience, and you guys are exceptional people out there. Hearing us, and if you have questions and we're able to answer them, absolutely grateful for that. And again, just as Spaceshot was saying, I just want to say thank you for my wife's GoFundMe. She is having it for a heart transplant, and with all the prayers that continue to come, it is absolutely amazing, and we are thankful, especially with the fundraiser for the GoFundMe. It means the world to us. As we all know, being in the military, we don't make all the money in the world, and so it does help us. It does help us to do our best to not go bankrupt and not lose a security clearance, because my wife has to have a heart transplant, and because finances, because of how hospitals are and insurance.
Because if you're in money problems, you could be compromised, is the idea behind that, right?
Yeah. It's fundamentally it's flawed, and it's unfair. But at the end of the day, if that means I have to retire early just so my wife can get a heart transplant, then that's what I'm going to do. My wife is more valuable than a security clearance, and my wife is everything. And I am very grateful for everyone here in the audience. I am very grateful for everyone. You had a firefighter that was on here. I was a part-time firefighter in Northern California, and thank you for your service, sir. And to anyone else who serves in any other capacity, law enforcement, military, medical, whatever it may be, thank you for your service. I definitely appreciate it. And thank you all, and God bless.
Amen. Absolutely. And I'm just trying to verify that was San Bernardino. So, Mr. Clag, if you're listening, check your phone. But Mr. Ghost, sir, any parting words for the crew?
Oh, I think all of you have said some wonderful things, and obviously with Renee, yes, thank you so much to the audience. You've got one of the best audiences ever, period, and always have. And that's you, Spaceshot, that circles around. So give yourself a hand for that. And yeah, we didn't get into, say, today, all the local, let's say local, meaning within the last few months and projected few months. We didn't get into stuff. And it was good not to dig into certain things, because right now we're in a transitionary period, and the data points are showing it for people.
Yeah.
What the president is dropping, what others are dropping in key relationships or positions. I think we're overall in a good place. Doesn't mean things aren't going to get bumpy. I foresee that. I hope and pray the Save America Act is passed, and the deaths and let's say the 3 that are now down. I think despite that, in planning, you always have contingencies. And in those contingencies, with what we're looking at with something like Lindsey Graham, it was built in. What if he died? Then what? What if this one dies? Then what? What if McConnell? I don't know if they Frankensteined him, or I don't know what's going on with that. But, it's all built in. And I think what we're going to see with all of the influences, many things we didn't touch upon that I'm referring to right now, I think we're going to see some interesting times. We're seeing the data points now. I know I said by the 15th. Yes, that's my marker. And I'm seeing data points like Rubio making that statement in particular. These things are more powerful and, let's say, impactful on the real game being played out there that history will look at. So I would ask people, don't lose faith. Look at the data points. There is a new world rising right in front of us, of our own making, of course, and we're all a part of it, whether we like it or not. If we're using devices that we're using right now to do what we're doing, we're all a part of it. Make no mistake about it. And much more rests in the hands of people than most would think. And that's why I think Elon Musk put that film out free for 2 days. The message was clear. If you're sick of it, you're going to have to get up and fix it, because we're in that. That is just, and here in the United States, we're far more fortunate and blessed than most people ever take the time to recognize. So, having said all that, keep heart, maintain your faith in yourself and God and the future. And I think things over time, though it may be very bumpy, I think we're going to see some very interesting things coalescing over the next few weeks and going into the future. So I'll leave it at that. And God bless this audience and everyone. Thank you so much for what you've been doing for Mike. And Mike and Renee, of course, Renee first in that, all of that, but
Amen.
in everything that you do. And you do a magnificent job, Spaceshot.
Yep,
Thank you,
Appreciative of that.
Thank you, guys.
So-
And I do appreciate you guys coming on here as well. And I did ask the chat a question, and I answered it myself. So I'll be rating you guys over to Tron. I just noticed he's live. So my brother Tron, I'll send you guys over there. And for Mr. Armando, Doc Mike, and Ghost, I do appreciate all you guys hanging out on these Tuesdays with us. And to the mods, and I'm just going to say this again really quick so that way I get actually it. Oh, God, don't tell me they disappeared. I'm going to have to read it. Oh, no, I remember exactly what I did with them. I put them over here. So I'm going to get them actually right today. So thank you to all my mods. And I'm going to do this once a week, but because I messed it up so badly yesterday, I have to repeat them. To all my mods, Cap78 Pack, Chris Schaus, Diane DeVoe, Williams, Debbie Roush, GGB Working It, James Rohrback, Patriot Chick, P Dancer, Susie Q, Tasmaniac, Tanette Booth, and that's all. I'm just kidding. Wheezy Girl, of course. You just happen to be last on the alphabet. But thank you guys all for hanging out with us here on this fine Tuesday. Again, thank you to the mods. And for you guys and girls out there, for Mike, Armando, Ghost, and myself, we do appreciate each and every last one of you wonderful world patriots out there for tuning in. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.
Hello, guys. Something special is happening in here. That's right. It's brackets and jackets. Bringing it back for brackets and jackets. Special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see, this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh, boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Breakfast Jacket's Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. And red pills in the best kind of way. This is brackets and jackets for the denizens of islands.
Yeah.